Chapter 550. Boom! Yuan Ye's fist had arrived. It was not a big light black fist, but it filled up the whole sky. Even the sunlight had been blocked out as it landed on Yi Chen's head. If this fist landed, even if Yi Chen's defense was twice as powerful, he would still be shocked into a retard. Yi Chen's eyes were cold. His gold sword vibrated at an extremely high frequency as he threw out a sword attack to welcome the incoming attack. The gold resonant radiant sword attack had been trained to 90%, and it could vibrate 2,800 times within a second, which was close to 3,000 times. Once it reached 3,000 times, the gold resonant radiant sword attack would reach the completion level, and its power would definitely be equivalent to the top profound sense martial arts. The gold resonant radiant sword attack was already an extremely powerful profound sense sword attack. Normal profound sense sword attacks would be slightly weaker than it. The fist and the sword clashed together, and the sound wave that exploded was extremely horrifying. The whole sky seemed to be filled with this metal exploding sound. Because of the loud sound, no one seemed to be able to hear it clearly. Loud sound. It was just that the sound was too loud, and it was beyond their ability to hear it. In the center of the battle, that light black and gold light ball had devoured the two. The light ball expanded to 100 meters wide, and the air was pushed out like a ball, forming a 1,000 meters wide vacuum ball. One big and one small, the two balls resonated with each other. In the center of the light ball, Yi Chen and Yuan Yi still maintained their attacking posture, their fists and the gold sword clashing together. Boom! The two balls exploded at the same time. The buildings of the Yuan family were shaking, looking like they were about to be destroyed. All the powerful warriors of the Yuan family worked together to create a massive Zhenyuan wall, blocking out the blasting wave. So it would not affect the buildings of the Yuan family at all. As for the sky above, the shocking sky had been dented, turning into a half-sphere. Endless amounts of wind, fire, thunder, and water leaked out, looking colorful and eye-catching. It was like the end of the world had arrived, and the sky was going to bring down his anger. The two had only clashed for a second before separating. But, just like Yuan Yi had said, after performing his special defensive power, his endurance and attacking speed had increased. He had only backed out for dozens of meters before stepping on the air and shooting toward Yi Chen. Let's see what other tricks you have. Yuan Yi was very clear that the ace attacks could not be performed twice at the same time. This time, Yi Chen had used up his gold resonant radiance attack. If he wanted to perform it again, he would have to wait for the next second, and the next second, his fist would land on Yi Chen's body. Dual sword style. Of course, Yi Chen knew about it. Indeed, the ace killing attacks would take a certain amount of time to prepare. Normally, the more powerful the killing attack, the longer the preparation time would be. Of course, it would also depend on the warrior's cultivation. If the warrior's cultivation was high enough, then there would not be such a problem, because the higher the cultivation, the more powerful the killing attack would be. Therefore, the preparation time would not be extended. Right now, he was at peak level early C of Soul's Realm, and his gold resonant radiance attack was not weaker than Yuan Ye's killing water fist art. Therefore, the preparation time would be a bit longer than his opponent, which would be his advantage. Therefore, he could not continue to perform his gold resonant radiance attack. But, even without the gold resonant radiance attack, he still had the Sky Thundercut and the Reverse Sky Thundercut to form his dual sword style. In terms of power, it would only be slightly weaker than the gold resonant radiance attack. Most importantly, the dual sword style consisted of two attacks, and both of them were way weaker than the gold resonant radiance attack. The preparation time would be very short, and he would be able to perform it before Yuan Yi. Shoo! The sword light, one in the front and the other in the back, intersected and attacked toward Yuan Yi. Yuan Yi flicked his eyebrows, then sneered as he threw out his fist heavily. He did not think that throwing out two attacks at the same time would be that powerful. Boom! Once his fist touched the intersecting sword light, Yuan Yi immediately felt the two layers of power coming at him in a superimposed way. Because he was in a hurry to beat Yi Chen, his killing water fist art was not at its peak condition yet. Instead, he was at a disadvantage under this intersecting sword attack. He was blown backward, and the big red flower on his chest had been torn apart as well. How is this possible? Two sword attacks superimposed together? How could it be this powerful? Perhaps it was rare to be able to do two things at the same time in the southern regions. But in the whole true spirit continent, there were still a lot of people who could do it. Back in the Sky Martial region, Yuan Yi had seen a lot of young warriors who could do two things at the same time. But it was rare for them to do so, because it would not only distract them, but the power of the superimposed attacks would also not be that powerful. Otherwise, everyone would have tried to do it already. He did not expect that Yi Qin's double sword attack would be this powerful. It was almost as powerful as his opponent's gold resonant radiance sword attack. Yi Qin did not have much of an expression on his face. He knew about the power of the double sword attack, and it was not a normal double sword attack. The Sky Thundercut and the Reverse Sky Thundercut that he had created were originally from the same source. One was the front and the other the back. The combination of the front and back was flawless, and its power was not something that could be compared with just two sword attacks superimposed together. After forcing back Yuan Yi with one sword attack, Yi Qin's body flashed like a sword light, shooting toward his opponent's blind spot. Yuan Yi was shocked as he lifted up his left arm. Qin! The gold sword landed on his left arm. So hard. This sword attack of Yi Qin's was about speed, so its power was not as powerful as his ace attacks. But it contained the slaughter sword intent. Added with the amplification of the gold sword, even Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warrior's protective Jin Yuan layer might not be able to handle it. When it landed on Yuan Ye's left arm, it was like using a knife to cut through steel. But of course, he also knew that his opponent's protective Jin Yuan had used up a lot of his power, which was one of the reasons why he could not hurt Yuan Yi. Yuan Yi was not wounded at all, but the clothes on his left arm had been completely shredded, turning into dust. How is this possible? Yi, is it a disadvantage now? Yuan Jin could not believe his eyes as he stared at Yi Chun. Right then, no matter how stupid he was, he knew that Yi Chun had been hiding his power, and Yuan Hao had only forced him to use part of his power. Yi Chun is so powerful. Murong Wu and Murong Jishui looked at each other. With Yi Qin's power right now, he was not weaker than the weaker Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warriors. But of course, it was just not weaker. It did not mean that he had the power to battle with Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warriors, since Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warriors were powerful in all aspects. Compared to Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warriors, Yi Qin and Yuan Yi still had some weaknesses. It was the gap between the top Spirit Realm Warriors and Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warriors. TSK. He is already this powerful at peak level early C of Soul's Realm. Once he reaches mid C of Soul's Realm, he would be able to enter the Master Level C of Soul's Realm Warriors, and would not be the weakest one. Being able to enter the Master Level with only mid C of Soul's Realm. This kind of martial geniuses is rare indeed. Yeah, in the 4 regions, Li Shaoling, one of the candidates for the second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace in the Eastern region, seems to be close to it. But he is only close. He should not be there yet. There would be 1 or 2 in the Western region and the Northern region. There would not be many in the Sky Martial region either. There is only one region between the Gulan region and the Sky Martial region. Among the people present, a lot of them had been to the Sky Martial region before, so they knew a lot about the young generation. In the sky, Yuan Yi had a bad look on his face. Although that sword attack from Yi Chun did not hurt him, it had still hurt his left arm. But it was not the physical pain that made him angry. It was the mental attack that he could not handle. I am at peak level mid-C of Soul's Realm, and my martial spirit is at rank 4. Plus, I have the special ability to strengthen my defense. I am powerful in all aspects. Why am I losing? Whether Yuan Yi wanted to admit it or not, it was a fact that he was losing. Shoo! Using the momentum of his left arm being cut down, Yuan Yi backed out quickly. As he did, he lifted up his right hand, and a massive dark gold light ball appeared. Demon Gold Flash. Yi Qin's pupil shrank. Without even thinking, he knew that Yuan Ye's Demon Gold Flash would be even more powerful than Yuan Hao's attack. It would be unbelievably powerful, and it would be hard for him to dodge it. I have to release all of my slaughter sword intent now. Before Yuan Yi performed his special ability, Yi Chun had been using the destruction sword intent, and only then did he use the slaughter sword intent. Its power was around rank 5 normal sword intent. Because of his powerful soul power, the sword intent did not leak out at all. Therefore, no one knew that his slaughter sword spirit had already reached such a realm. If it continued to increase, it would be at peak level rank 5. No matter how good his control was, he would not be able to hide it anymore. Boom! Yuan Yi pushed out his Zhen Yuan, and the dark gold light ball shot out. It turned into a beam of dark gold light, attacking toward Yi Chun at an extreme speed. Its speed was even faster than Yuan Hao's demon gold flash. The dark gold light beam flashed once before disappearing. That flash of light made the sun in the sky lose its color, turning it into a black and white world. After releasing the demon gold flash, a creepy look flashed through Yuan Ye's face. His special ability was defense strengthening, and his body was extremely powerful. How could he not have trained it before? Compared to Yuan Hao, he was more talented, so his achievement in training it would be much higher as well. If it were not for the fact that he was forced to do so, he would not use it at all. For him, the more ace cards he had, the better it would be. Plus, he thought that he would be able to beat Yi Chun without using it. With the demon gold flash in my hands, even normal master level C of Soul's Realm warriors would not be able to handle it. They would have to avoid it for a while. To be defeated by this attack, it would be your honor. Next, I will humiliate you and destroy your dignity. Yuan Yi thought to himself coldly. Down below, the Murong Jishui brothers, Wang Shi, and Yin Kuei could feel their hearts racing as they looked at Yi Chun nervously. Yao Yifeng and Yuan Jin sneered, as if they could already see Yi Chun losing. Who? Seeing that dark gold light beam approaching, Yi Chun exploded. His long black hair danced in the air as that horrifying slaughter sword intent shot out into the sky. This sword intent had already gone beyond his control, turning the whole place into a bleak, silent world. The sky had a dark red color, which was a sign of great danger and a massacre. Once it appeared, everything in the world would fall into a massacre, and Yi Chun was the embodiment of it. Because of the fact that he could not control the sword intent completely, it was immediately sensed by everyone present. Everyone opened their eyes wide, shocked beyond words. Impossible. This is the King Warrior's sword intent. Chapter 551. The King level sword intent was the sword intent of a life and death realm warrior, which was a rank 5 sword intent. For a Sea of Souls realm warrior to form a rank 5 sword spirit and use a rank 5 sword intent, it would only be slightly easier than reaching the life and death realm from the Sea of Souls realm. It was not hard to imagine how much of a commotion it would cause. It's indeed a King's sword intent, but it shouldn't be a King's sword spirit. This King's sword intent contains the slaughter attribute, which can increase the power of the sword intent. But even so, it's still extremely terrifying. His slaughter sword spirit is at least a level 4 slaughter sword spirit. Before, some of the master level C of Soul's Realm warriors were only there to watch the show. But now, all of them had their eyes wide open, their faces full of disbelief. The dark gold light ray was extremely fast. While everyone was thinking about it, it had already arrived in front of Yi Chun. It looked like it could pierce through everything and destroy everything in its path. As for Yi Chun, he had started to accumulate the aura for his gold resonant radiance attack the moment he used all of his slaughter sword intent. Right then, it was done. He held the gold sword with both of his hands and threw out a powerful attack. His expression was calm, but there was still a hint of killing in it. It was as if he was treating it as a normal thing, and he was not affected at all. Swoosh! That sword attack looked normal, containing a bit of gold light. But once the dark gold light ray touched it, a part of it was destroyed. Once the sword tip landed, the powerful sword power spread out through the sword body, shattering the dark gold light ray completely. It turned into 2 beams of light, shooting toward both sides of Yi Chun. It was as if he was a rock, and the dark gold light ray was the flowing water. When the flowing water touched the rock, it would naturally be separated. However, although the rock did not have any attacking power, Yi Chun did. After his sword had cut open the dark gold light ray, it attacked toward Yuan Yi at a shocking speed. Not good. Yuan Yi had already sensed the danger the moment Yi Chun revealed his ace attack. He was very clear about how powerful the king-level sword intent was. Not to mention the fact that Yi Chun was not weak himself. Even if he were a normal Sea of Souls realm warrior, he would not be able to be underestimated. Who? That light black protective Zhen Yuan layer shone with a bright green light. That light looked like it was about to condense into a halo. It added onto Yuan Ye's protective Zhen Yuan layer, making it look like it had solidified. With the combination of the two, Yuan Ye's body was impenetrable. Creak! That almost completely golden sword light landed on Yuan Ye's protective Zhen Yuan layer, which suddenly cracked like a piece of tempered glass. With that crack as the center, the crack started to spread out in all directions, and eventually a huge dent was formed in the middle. The sword light had a lot of hidden power as it kept attacking, trying to break through the protective layer of Zhen Yuan and hit Yuan Yi inside. Yuan Yi pushed up his Zhen Yuan as well, trying his best to defend. Soon, the sword light disappeared, and Yuan Yi was unharmed. What? Didn't hurt him? Yi Chun was a bit surprised. He had already used all of his power for that sword attack. Even the protective Zhen Yuan of a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior could be cut open easily. No matter how powerful Yuan Ye's defense was, it would not be that much more powerful than a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior. No, that dark green light. It seems to be the light of a great weapon. Yi Chun squeezed his eyes and released his soul power. Through Yuan Ye's clothes, Yi Chun could see a lot of weapons. There were dark green chest armor, arm guards, wrist guards, fist gloves, leg guards, and even waist guards. There were 6 types of weapons in total. Among them, the fist gloves were the attacking ones, while the rest were all defensive ones. All 6 of them had the same color, and the vibration they gave off was the same as well. It seemed like they were originally a set. It was a complete set, a set of prized artifacts, a perfect set of prized artifacts. Yi Chun finally understood why Yuan Yi was able to block out that sword attack. The reason was none other than the fact that he was wearing a full set of weapons. Normally, a full set of weapons would be able to fit all of the weapons on the body. A lot of people would be able to put together a full set of weapons, but it would only be a bit more powerful than the most powerful weapon on the body. Therefore, even if one had a full set of weapons, the increase in attack and defense would still be limited. It would only be a bit more powerful than the most powerful weapon on the body. Meanwhile, the set of items that Yuan Yi had on him was a complete set of items. Their elements matched perfectly, and they all had a deep connection with each other. Wearing all of them on him would be able to activate all of the power of the set of items, allowing all of them to combine perfectly together. Not only was Yi Chun surprised, everyone down below was shocked as well. They could tell that Yi Chun's sword attack was extremely powerful, and Yuan Yi being able to block it out was completely out of their expectation. Have you been to Treasure Holy Tower and gotten a full set of top-rank weapons? Yuan Jin was very worried before, but right now, all of that was gone, and a joyful expression flashed through his face. After canceling out that sword light from Yi Chun, Yuan Yi laughed out loud. Yi Chun, you are indeed powerful, forcing me to use my weapons as an advantage. But you would not have guessed that I have been to the Sky Martial region and gotten a full set of water element weapons from the Treasure Holy Tower. Each one of them is just a normal top-rank weapon, but when combined together, the defensive effect is even more powerful than a semi-extreme rank weapon. Plus, the attacking power has been increased drastically as well, allowing me to reach master level. A full set of water element top-rank weapons. Treasure Holy Tower. Everyone came to a sudden realization and were immediately overwhelmed with shock. A full set of top-rank weapons would be extremely valuable, and its value would be even more powerful than a semi-extreme rank weapon. And the Treasure Holy Tower. They all knew about this place. It was a mysterious palace that had existed for countless years. Different from the normal forbidden places, the tower was not hidden in the surreal space. Instead, it was located at a specific location, and anyone could enter at any time. However, there was a huge restriction on the tower. Only Sea of Souls realm warriors could enter, and anyone below the Sea of Souls realm would be killed the second they entered. Even those above the Sea of Souls realm would not be able to enter. Although life and death realm warriors were powerful, no one had ever heard of anyone being able to break through the restriction of the tower and enter. Besides that, people above 40 years old would not be able to enter either, since this tower had the ability to tell one's age. If one was older than that, he or she would be killed as well. As for what was inside the treasure holy tower, just like its name suggested, it was a holy tower that gathered all the weapons. There were countless of them inside, and it was said that it had something to do with the Treasure River Island in the Star Regional Lake. The two seemed to come from the same source. However, although the Treasure River Island was very attractive compared to the Treasure Holy Tower, it was like a cottage. The Treasure Holy Tower was one of the reasons why the Sky Martial region was the holy place for all the martial geniuses. With the Treasure Holy Tower, a lot of martial geniuses would go to the Sky Martial region when they reached the Sea of Souls realm. This Yuan Yi had entered the Treasure Holy Tower before, and he managed to bring out a set of top-rank water element weapons. He is so lucky. Unfortunately, I'm already more than 40 years old. Otherwise, I would also go in and try my luck. With my master-level Sea of Souls realm power, the chance of me surviving would be huge. Without the age restriction, there would be no chance for us to get in. Back in the medieval era, all the weapons inside would have been cleaned out already, since there would not be an endless amount of weapons inside. That is true. Some of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors started to discuss excitedly. Oh no, Yuan Yi actually has a set of top-rank weapons that fit perfectly with each other. Murong Jishui did not look too good. Perhaps Yichen still has some other hidden cards. Murong Wu said uncertainly. Murong Jishui said bitterly. He has even revealed his king-level sword intent. What other hidden cards could he have? I can only hope that this Yuan Yi's attacking power would not increase that much. Yichen, have a taste of this fist attack of mine. While everyone was discussing, Yuan Yi threw out a killing water fist attack toward Yichen. As he threw out that fist attack, an endless dark green light flowed out of his body and was infused into his fist aura. All of a sudden, the fist power increased drastically. Yichen did not back out at all as he welcomed it with his gold sword. Boom! The light ball exploded and the two backed out at the same time. It is only slightly weaker than my attack, and it has the whole set of weapons to cancel it out. Yichen frowned. Yuan Yi's attacking power was actually slightly weaker than his, but the latter had a whole set of great items, which would be more than twice as powerful as Yichen's. Therefore, Yichen's attacks would not be able to put him at a disadvantage at all. Haha, I hope he will not get hit by me. His attacking power was catching up with Yichen's, and his defense was way more powerful than Yichen's. Yuan Yi was not worried at all. Even if Yichen were to attack him, he would not be afraid. As long as he managed to land an attack on Yichen, he would lose immediately. It meant that he was born to be unbeatable. Boom, 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 boom. The two continued to exchange attacks, their chi power spreading out everywhere. Murong Jishui and Murong Wu both looked a bit gloomy. Yuan Yi's attacking power had also increased. Although it was not as big as his defense, his attacking power was already very powerful. Now that it had been increased, it would be even more horrifying. Even Yichen could not do anything to him. Boom! In the sky, the two separated again. Yichen, you will not be able to beat me. Just leave the Yuan family quietly. Otherwise, I will not let you have any face left. Yuan Yi was secretly shocked at Yichen's battling technique. During this time, they had exchanged hundreds of attacks, but he had not managed to land a single hit on Yichen. Instead, he had been hit by Yichen a couple of times. If it were not for his whole set of weapons, even if he was not wounded badly, he would not feel good at all. Plus, activating a whole set of weapons would cost a lot of Jinyuan. Although his cultivation was higher than Yichen's, he might not be able to last until the end. Yichen said coldly, Is this all you have? What? Are you still thinking about it? Yuan Yi sneered. Whether or not I'm thinking about it, we will know soon enough. Actually, in order to beat Yuan Yi, Yi Chun had two options. One was to take out his semi-extreme rank greatsword, the Thunder Disaster Sword. With it, even if his opponent had a whole set of weapons, he would not be able to handle it. The second option was to perform his void-shattering finger art, which was extremely powerful in breaking through Jin Yuan. It would also be able to break through his opponent's defense. But after thinking about it, he decided that he could not expose his Thunder Disaster Sword. Once he used it, he did not know how many people would want to get their hands on it. It would be troublesome. Although using his void-shattering finger art would expose his most powerful ace attack, it would not cause too much trouble. At most, people would know about it. With that thought in mind, Yi Chun put his gold sword back into its scabbard. He reached out his right index finger and poured his Jin Yuan into it. Whoa! That finger of his was extremely long. As the Jin Yuan poured in, the edge of his finger started to have a space pattern. It seemed like even the surreal space could not handle the power of this finger. What kind of finger art is this? Yuan Yi squinted his eyes slightly. His instinct told him that this finger was very dangerous and should not be underestimated. But after thinking about it for a while, he sneered inwardly. If a whole set of weapons were so easy to break, why would he risk his life to enter the tower? Come on, watch me shatter your belief. Chapter 552. With a low growl, Yuan Ye's long hair shot up into the sky. The protective Jin Yuan in front of him started to crystallize, combining the light black and the dark green together perfectly. At the same time, the glove on his right hand lit up with a dark green light pattern. As the pattern lit up, more dark green light poured out of his body and gathered on the glove, ready to be unleashed at any second. After everything was done, Yuan Yi was full of confidence and high spirits. Hundreds of meters in front of him, Yi Chun, whose pupils shone with a silver light, locked onto Yuan Yi. In his eyes, Yuan Yi was no longer Yuan Yi. He was just a coordinate, a target. All he needed to do was to hit the target with one finger attack. It was that simple. In everyone's eyes, Yi Chun's body seemed to have enlarged. It was not a physical change, but a mental change. The mental pressure that Yi Chun performed with his void-shattering finger had made them feel like the whole world was filled with his shadow. The sky started to shake as Yi Chun pointed out his finger. No one could describe how horrifying this finger attack was. Once it was pointed out, the space seemed to have turned into nothingness. Even the space pattern had been sucked in. Once it was pointed out, a huge blue finger appeared in front of Yuan Yi all of a sudden, pressing onto his protective Jin Yuan. So fast. It is even faster than my demon gold flash. Yuan Yi did not even have the time to throw out a punch, so the only thing he could do was to block out with his arms. Pop! With Yuan Yi as the center, a pattern spread out in all directions. At the same time, the protective Jin Yuan in front of his body started to shatter, like a piece of clay that had been pressed by a finger. In the next second, the finger had sunk in. That dark green light was like a dying flame under the attack of the blue finger, unable to fight back at all. Without the protection of the dark green light, there was no way Yuan Ye's basic protective Jin Yuan could block out the power of the void-shattering finger attack. It was instantly shattered, and Feng Ye's right arm went numb without any feeling. His chest felt like it had been struck by lightning, causing him to puke out a huge mouthful of blood. With one attack of the void-shattering finger, Yuan Ye's defense had been broken through without any doubt. The powerful finger force caused everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The protective Jin Yuan has been strengthened by the defense and the whole set of artifacts. It has already surpassed ordinary sea of Soul Master level warriors. How could he break through it with one strike? What the hell is the problem? What kind of finger art is this? Yuan Yi was panicking. Before this, he had never thought that he would lose. There had been so many twists and turns in the battle, but every time, he had an ace up his sleeve. Right now, his ace had been used up, but his opponent still had more. The continuous attacks had made his mental state very weak, and he was close to losing his mind. He really has a trump card. Murong Wu mumbled unconsciously. Murong Jishui was completely stunned. What kind of young warrior was this? Every time his opponent was about to make a comeback, he would beat him down. If it were him, he would not feel good either, not to mention Yuan Yi, who had always been cruel. Ranked first in the Hidden Dragon rank at the age of 18, his name spread across the entire southern region at the age of 21, becoming one of the top 4 young warriors. At the age of 23, he had dominated the whole southern region's young generation. At the age of 24, he had beaten Yuan Yi, who was 1 generation older than him. Is this his hidden power? Murong Jishui had finally understood why this young man had been able to show more and more power since he had risen to the top. It was not only because of his great talent, but also because he knew how to be patient. He would not reveal his ace cards until the critical moment, and he would never be satisfied. No one knew if he still had more ace cards or not. Scary. The young warriors who were living in the same era as him should be worried now. Right then, Murong Jishui had been completely convinced by Yi Chun. It had nothing to do with power or status, but Yi Chun's horrifying mentality and potential. He had a feeling that even if he went up there himself, he might not be able to do anything to Yi Chun. This was an unpredictable young man, like a huge dragon hiding in the abyss. Anyone who dared to challenge him would be torn apart by his claws. Our brother disciple, Yi, is not just a normal kind of horrifying. Wang Shi and Yin Kuei were both spirit realm experts. The first time they met Yi Chun, he was only a weak astral-reaching realm warrior. The second time they met him, his cultivation base was already not that much lower than theirs, and his power was even more powerful than theirs. For no reason at all, the two felt very lucky. They were lucky that they had always treated Yi Chun as their brother disciple and did not have any other thoughts. Although they did not have any thoughts, it did not mean that they would be indifferent to everything. As the saying goes, a big tree is a good shade. Yi Chun, this little sapling, had already grown up. It was not like they did not get anything in return for befriending Yi Chun. Of course, they did not think of anything in the first place. Yao Yifeng is out of luck. Wang Shi glanced at Yao Yifeng sympathetically. Speaking of which, as the second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Yao Yifeng should have been on good terms with Yi Chun. Unfortunately, for his own benefit, he did not care that Yi Chun was a martial genius that the Dragon King valued. He had tried to make things difficult for him, which had completely pissed him off. It would not take him long to regret his decision. You can do whatever you want, but you can't do anything about it. Yin Kuei sneered. Without noticing Wang Shi and Yin Kuei's weird expressions, Yao Yifeng was very annoyed right now. In fact, ever since Yi Chun beat Yuan Hao, he had been feeling uncomfortable. The more powerful Yi Chun was, the more he hated him. It was also because of fear, the fear that Yi Chun would surpass him and take revenge on him. Right now, Yi Chun had beaten Yuan Yi, showing power that was not weaker than normal Sea of Souls Realm Master level warriors. His annoyance had reached its peak, and killing intent had started to form. Yi Chun, I admit that I was a bit short-sighted. But if you still want to hate me, then don't blame me. The chance of survival is in your hands. Yao Yifeng had a bad look on his face as his eyes flickered. Little Yi was injured. Yuan Jin's mood was just like the situation of the battle. It had been full of twists and turns, and his attitude of being in control of everything had disappeared completely. All that was left was anxiety and anger. If I had known this earlier, I would have stopped him at all costs. Yuan Jin was very regretful. He regretted that he did not pay enough attention to Yi Chun. If he knew that Yi Chun was about to come to the Gulan region and the Yuan family, he would have used all of his resources to stop him. Then, the situation would not have turned out like this. It was all because he had underestimated Yi Chun's power. Damn it, Yi cannot lose. Tightening his fists, a sharp light shot out of Yuan Jin's eyes. Wah! Puking out another mouthful of blood. Yuan Ye's face was extremely pale. I have not lost yet. This finger art of yours must have consumed a lot of Zhen Yuan. Let's see who can last until the end. After performing his special power, Yuan Ye's body was extremely powerful. The wound that the void-shattering finger art had brought to him would not affect his battling power too much. Plus, at this point, he would not allow himself to fail, since it would be a huge blow to him. Not long ago, he had said that he had 120% chance of winning, and that he would be able to kill Yi Chun like a dog. But now that the situation had turned around, how could he let it go? He could tell that the void-shattering finger art would consume a lot of Jin Yuan. As long as he could last a couple of times, he would be able to beat Yi Chun completely and step on him. That finger attack was just a test. If you choose to continue, then you'll have to face a bigger consequence. Yi Chun had thought it through very clearly. Killing Yuan Yi right here would be very troublesome. Therefore, he did not perform his void-shattering finger art to its limit, since he was afraid that he might accidentally cripple or kill Yuan Yi. So he decided to test his opponent's bottom line first. Without wasting time, Yi Chun pointed out his index finger and performed another void-shattering finger art. Pop! The blue finger broke through the space and was like a deadly finger, easily landing on Yuan Yi's newly formed protective Jin Yuan. The second the blue finger touched his protective Jin Yuan, a deep finger mark appeared on that crystallized layer. The power of this void-shattering finger art was even more powerful than before. The protective Jin Yuan that Yuan Yi had spent a lot of effort to build up had been shattered, and a trace of hatred appeared in his eyes. He hated it so much. Losing to Yi Chun meant that he had completely lost the battle for the woman. If this news got out, how would the others think of him? This kind of blow was driving him crazy. Lose now, Yi Chun did not use his void-shattering finger art. If he used it for the third time, Yuan Yi would die for sure. So he flashed his body and took out his gold sword, stabbing out. Yi Chun, give our Yuan family some face. Pretend that you have lost the battle. After this, our Yuan family will reward you handsomely. I believe you would not want to turn against our Yuan family completely. Right at the second when Yi Chun's sword was about to pierce into Yuan Yi's body, Yuan Jin passed on his Jin Yuan to Yi Chun. His tone was a bit hurried, but there was also a hint of threat in it. Yi Chun sneered. Now that things had come to this, she still wanted to threaten him? Pushing out his Jin Yuan, Yi Chun stabbed his sword into Yuan Yi's chest. The sword light went through and shot out from his back, covering the whole area in gold. Down below, Murong Jishui took a deep breath. It was finally over. Bastard! Yuan Jin's eyes were red. At this critical moment, he had already let go of his pride and promised to reward his opponent. But the latter did not give any face to the Yuan family at all. Instead, he had stabbed through Yuan Yi's body, which would at least make him bettered for a couple of months. Since he does not want to give me face, why should I? Shoo! Yuan Jin shot up into the sky, approaching Yi Chun at an unimaginable speed. Yi Chun, it was only a battle, but you are already so cruel. I will teach you a lesson for the Dragon God Heaven Palace. Piss off now. Old bastard Yuan, you are so shameless. Murong Jishui's eyebrows flicked as an extreme anger flashed through his eyes. The second Yuan Jin moved, he had already chased after him, leaving behind layers of water shadow behind him. How dare you? Go back. The powerful warriors of the Yuan family jumped out, blocking the furious Murong Jishui. The leading warrior was a master-level C of Soul's Realm warrior. He exchanged an attack with Murong Jishui and managed to stop him from saving Yi Chun. Damn! How dare you bully my brother disciple Yi? Wang Shi and Yin Kuei could not stay calm anymore. The two of them moved out together, attacking toward the powerful warriors of the Yuan family. All of a sudden, the plaza of the Yuan family turned into a mess. Chapter 553. As an experienced master-level C of Soul's Realm warrior, Yuan Jin's explosiveness was extremely horrifying. While he was flying, a purple gold light appeared on his body. It was like a dragon or a snake, almost materialized. It carried Yuan Jin's body and shot out, arriving not far away from Yi Chun within a blink of an eye. You brat! Yuan Jin lifted up his palm and attacked toward Yi Chun. Although it was just a normal low-rank, profound sense martial art, it was extremely powerful when it landed on Yuan Jin's hand. As he pushed out his palm power, a massive purple gold light palm expanded rapidly, covering the space where Yi Chun and Yi Chun were. One finger shattering void. Yi Chun's pupil shrank. Yuan Jin's palm attack was not weaker than the Iron Palm Master who had appeared on the Treasure River Island. The title of the Iron Palm Master contained the word palm, so naturally, his palm art was the most powerful one. But Yuan Jin's palm art was not weaker than his, which meant that his overall power might be even more powerful than the Iron Palm Master. Without thinking too much, Yi Chen endured the mountain-shattering palm pressure and stabbed out with his right index finger. Boom! The purple gold light palm and the blue finger clashed together. The two seemed to be mortal enemies as they clashed against each other crazily, bringing up layers after layers of blasting waves. The blasting waves were all different in color. It was purple gold for a second, then blue, then purple and blue. It blew Yuan Yi, who was already wounded badly, a couple of miles away. He puked out a mouthful of blood and fainted right after Yuan Hao. Because Yuan Jin was too angry, he had forgotten about Yuan Yi, which made him even more wounded. At the same time, he hated Yi Chen to the core. His palm power suddenly increased by 30%. The purple gold light palm pushed forward aggressively, shattering the blue finger. Sword light, flying spell. Yi Chen was already prepared for it. He took back the Zhen Yuan outside of his body, and waves of sword light shone. With a flash, he flew out 10 miles within a second. Because the power of the purple gold light palm had been cancelled out by the blue finger, its speed had been drastically reduced. It did not manage to catch up with Yi Chen, but did manage to destroy a lot of buildings in the Yuan family. Little brat, do you really think you are a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior? Yuan Jin's eyes were cold as he locked onto Yi Chen, who was 10 miles away from him. He flicked his fingers, shooting out beams of purple gold light. These purple gold light beams contained the profound of gold, and their penetrative power was unparalleled. Countless purple gold light beams interweaved with each other, causing space ripples to spread out like a giant net. Anyone who fell into the net would be greatly affected, like a flying insect caught in a net. Seeing the huge net that was formed by the purple gold light, Yi Chen maintained his flying back while using his Lotus Heart Sword Qi to defend against it. All of a sudden, one side was the purple gold net, while the other side was the blue one. The two huge nets clashed together. Pitter-patter, countless beautiful fireworks bloomed, and the sky seemed to be ignited. Seeing this, Yuan Jin's face darkened. Although he was an experienced master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, it would still be impossible for him to kill Yi Chen with only one attack. Yi Chen's power was not that important, but that kind of control he had over the battle had shocked even him. Not to mention that they were still 10 miles away from each other. I would like to see how you are going to dodge this time. Yuan Jin was ready to use his mid-rank Profound Sense martial arts. Different from Yuan Yi, Yuan Jin's mid-rank Profound Sense martial arts had already reached 80% completion and was not that far away from completion. With his late Sea of Souls realm cultivation, its power could only be described as horrifying. Taking a deep breath, Yuan Jin's face was covered in purple gold qi. Purple gold represented nobility, but when it appeared on Yuan Jin's face, it added an evil aura. He put his tongue on top of his mouth, and the Zhen Yuan inside his body started to circulate at twice the normal speed. Eventually, it all poured into his right arm, following the meridians of his right arm and reaching the center of his fist. As waves of Zhen Yuan poured in and compressed, Yuan Jin's fist turned into a purple gold color, looking like it was made of pure purple gold, full of horrifying power. Flowing gold godly fist. Yelling, Yuan Jin threw out a punch toward Yi Chen, who was 10 miles away. Boom! The air was blown up all of a sudden, and the space pattern spread out. That purple gold fist power turned into a tornado, shooting out at an extreme speed. Along the way, the fist power started to scatter, turning into countless golden blades that looked like crescent moon. The golden blades were arranged in an orderly manner, forming into a dozens of meters wide hemisphere. Yi Chen frowned. He could tell that each of those golden blades had the power of a low-rank Profound Sense martial art. With this many of them shooting at him, even a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior would have to dodge out of the way. Yi Chen was barely a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, so he naturally would not be able to handle it. Yuan Jin, you are indeed shameless. A human figure suddenly appeared right in front of Yi Chun. It was indeed Murong Jishui. The Yuan family warrior who tried to stop him was only a normal master level C of Soul's Realm warrior. Under Murong Jishui's full power attack, he was blown away within 3 attacks. Besides master level C of Soul's Realm warriors, who else could stop him? Boom, 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 boom. The golden blades were blocked out by a swirl barrier. Waiting until the last golden blade bounced out, the swirl barrier suddenly disappeared, and Murong Jishui's face looked a bit pale. Time was running out, so Murong Jishui could only perform a low-rank defensive profound sense martial art. Facing Yuan Jin's mid-rank profound sense martial art, he was still at a disadvantage. But of course, his opponent was still worried about Murong Jishui, so he did not dare to kill him. Otherwise, even Murong Jishui would not be able to handle it. Murong Jishui. Yuan Jin did not look friendly at all. Murong Jishui was still not scared. Yuan Jin, what you have done today will bring a lot of harm to the Yuan family. I hope you know it yourself. This brat had stopped the wedding so many times and wounded 2 of my sons. Why can't I teach him a lesson? But you, how dare you fight against our Yuan family? The demi-demon family does not belong to your Yuan family. Your Yuan family does not have a right to do anything to our Murong family. Huh. No matter what you say, it will be useless. This time, I will lock you up in the Yuan family. If you dare to go against me, I will kill you without mercy. Yuan Jin did not dare to kill Yi Chun, but it did not mean that he would not dare to kill Murong Jishui. Killing Murong Jishui would be an internal matter of the demi-demon family, and the Dragon God Celestial Palace would not be able to interfere. Yi Chun flew right next to Murong Jishui, looking straight at Yuan Jin as he said coldly, Yuan Jin, you were the one who agreed for me to battle with your sons. Am I right? So what? You suddenly attacked me? What is the meaning of this? Do you really think that I am easy to bully? Or should I say, I will not hold you responsible for this? Battling with each other, I did not say anything about wounding the opponent. Don't you think what you have done is cruel? Yuan Jin's words were flawless, like an old fox who was furious but still calm. Yi Chun sneered, sorry, I admit that this was a battle, but not a battle. Since it is a battle, injuries are inevitable. I think it is your Yuan family who cannot afford to lose. Brat Yi, although you are a martial genius favored by the Dragon King, as long as you do not become a life and death realm warrior, you better not be too arrogant. Yuan Jin stared at Yi Chun with an evil look, his eyes containing a powerful mental pressure. Yi Chun ignored the threat. Arrogant? It seems like only your Yuan family is worthy of this title. You 3, father and son, have you never felt that what you have done is arrogant? Presumptuous. Right now, what Yuan Jin hated the most was the fact that the Dragon King favored Yi Chun the most, which led to his hatred toward the Dragon God Celestial Palace. Without the Dragon King and the Dragon God Celestial Palace, killing Yi Chun would be like killing a dog to him. There would be no need for him to spend so much effort to stop them. Martial geniuses die easily. You better be careful. After saying that with a low voice, Yuan Jin flew down toward the plaza. Yi Chun and Murong Jishui exchanged a look before landing down as well. Seeing that Yi Chun had returned, Wang Shi and Yan Kuei both stopped what they were doing. Around them, there were a couple of people who were staring at the 2 angrily, all of whom were slightly wounded. Brother Yi, are you all right? Wang Shi asked. Yi Chun shook his head. Thank you, brother and sister, for your help. We're brother disciples after all. Wang Shi laughed. Right next to him, Yan Kuei spat on the ground. Pooh. This old dog Yuan is so shameless. His son could not beat you, so he decided to do it himself. Yi Chun looked at Murong Qingcheng with a serious look, then said to Yuan Jin, Yuan Jin, do you still remember the promise we made before? Right now, let go of Murong Qingcheng's secret spell. Huh, of course I remember. With so many people here, no matter how shameless Yuan Jin was, he would not go back on his word. Otherwise, within a couple of days, his shameless behavior would be spread all over the Gulan region, and even the other regions. Glancing at Yuan Yi, who was still unconscious, Yuan Jin walked behind Murong Qingqing. He pressed his palm in the air, and countless gold light balls shot into her body. Making a slight noise, Murong Qingqing regained her consciousness. Lifting up the red silk cloth, Murong Qingqing saw Murong Jishui and Yichun. A joyful expression flashed through her face. "Father, Yichun," Murong Jishui said hurriedly. "Qingqing, they did not do anything to you, did they?" Murong Qingqing shook her head. "All right, where's your mother?" Murong Qingqing frowned and said, "Before my Jun Yuan and consciousness were sealed, my mother was invited by a woman from the Yuan family." A woman. Murong Jishui seemed to have thought of something. Moving her eyes away from her father, Murong Qingqing looked at Yichun. Although her movement and speech had been sealed, she could still hear and feel everything that Yichun had done. So, when Yuan Jin attacked Yichun, she was very worried, but luckily, nothing happened. Yichun smiled at Murong Qingqing. Just when he was about to say something, a woman's voice was heard, very crisp. "Jishui." From the corner of a building not too far away, two extremely beautiful women walked over together. The one on the left was wearing a dark green long dress, looking very elegant. She was about 38 or 39 years old, and the one on the right was wearing a light yellow dress. Her appearance was no less beautiful than the former, but it was indeed her who had spoken. Seeing the latter, Murong Jishui froze. Yin Shiner. He would never forget this woman. This woman used to be the woman he loved the most, and he would occasionally see her in his dreams. Her appearance had changed a little, and her voice had become a lot smoother as well. But he could still recognize her at first glance. Taking a deep breath, Murong Jishui felt very complicated. In front of him, a cold sneer appeared on Yuan Jin's face. Chapter 554. So, this is the first girlfriend that Uncle Murong had mentioned? Yichen's eyes landed on the two girls. It was easy for him to tell who Murong Qingqing's mother was, since they were mother and daughter after all. Both their looks and temperament were quite similar, which was something that could not be hidden. After knowing who Murong Qingqing's mother was, the identity of the other girl would be obvious as well. Su Ruhui saw Murong Jishui's expression and made a face. But she did not say anything. She stood together with Murong Qingqing and started to talk in a low voice. "It has been so many years. How have you been?" For the past 30 years, Murong Jishui had been wanting to say this. Today, he finally had the chance to say it. However, he did not know why he did not want to say it the first time he saw the girl. Saying it out loud was just a subconscious action. The girl named Yin Shiner stayed silent for a while before nodding slightly. A bitter smile appeared on Murong Jishui's face. "All right, as long as I am doing well. I have no regrets anymore. After separating from you, I was in so much pain until Ruhui appeared in front of me." Hearing Murong Jishui mention her name, Su Ruhui was a bit happy. She pretended that she did not hear anything and continued to talk with Murong Qingqing. Hearing him, Yin Shiner felt a bit uneasy for a second. It was this 1 second of uneasiness that had caught Yi Chen's attention. He could see the dissatisfaction, jealousy, and anger in her eyes, which did not match her beautiful appearance at all. Glancing at Murong Jishui, Yi Chen thought to himself, "Uncle, I am afraid that your first girlfriend has changed. Sister-in-law, this is your future niece-in-law. Her name is Murong Qingqing." Right then, Yuan Jin suddenly spoke. The reason why he called Yin Shiner his sister-in-law was because she had married his second brother, Yuan Xiong. Yuan Xiong was not in the Yuan family right now, as he had gone out for some business. He would only be back in 2 to 3 months. Originally, that would be the day of Yuan Ye's wedding, but it had been brought forward by 3 months. Yin Shiner moved her eyes away from Murong Jishui and landed on Murong Qingqing, who was standing next to Su Ruhui. A surprised expression flashed through her face, since it was the first time she had seen Murong Qingqing. She had to admit that this girl's appearance and temperament were extremely rare. There should be people who were as beautiful as her, but she had never seen or heard of anyone who was more beautiful than her. Shinho might be able to surpass her, But Xianhou was still a life and death realm warrior after all. This was Shi Sui and his daughter. Yan Xiner squeezed her lips, then laughed and said, "Brother, Yi is quite lucky to have such a beautiful fiancée. Together with him, they will be a perfect match. As a second aunt, I am happy for him as well. All right, why don't we continue with the wedding?" Yu and Jean glanced at Murong Jishui. Someone did not agree, so I could not do anything about it. Yi and Hao were wounded as well, and they are still unconscious. Who dares to wound Yi and Hao? Yan Xiner flicked her eyebrows. Indeed, it is me. Yichen did not need to wait for her to say it out, so he just admitted it himself. Yan Xiner glanced at Yi Chun. Do you know that the members of the demi-demon family will not marry outsiders? So, it is impossible for you and her to be together. If you just let it go, it will be good for both sides. Why do you have to break up a couple? Whether they are a couple or not, you should be clear about it. If they are a couple, then no one would be able to break them up. If they're not a couple, then there is no need to break them up, since they were separated in the first place. I was only doing what I was supposed to do. The one who should let it go should be the Yuan family. Yan Xiner said lightly, no one is meant to be together. There has to be a process of getting to know each other. Both of them have the perfect demi-demon bloodline, so they will be attracted to each other in the future. But that is if you do not come and ruin it. Yichen could not help but laugh. This woman was a bit unreasonable. Based on what you have said, a man and a woman would be a couple. On the other hand, breaking up a couple and putting one of them together with another person with a different surname would also make them a couple. So, what you have said is basically nothing. You are quite eloquent, but you seem to have forgotten that they had already set the wedding date 2 years ago, and you are an outsider. Yichen glanced at Murong Jishui. This wedding date was forced by the Yuan family. You should know about it. So, I will not explain it to you. Yan Xiner sucked in a deep breath. She had underestimated Yi Chen a bit. This young man was not as simple as he looked. His tone was very calm, but it was sharp like a sword chi. Looking over at Murong Jishui, Yan Xiner frowned. Are you still angry about what happened back then? Actually, it is all in the past now. No matter what, it will not go back. If you do not want your daughter to marry into the Yuan family because of this, then you do not have to. Murong Jishui looked a bit surprised, as if he could not believe that these words were coming out of Yan Xiner's mouth. Somehow, he seemed to have understood something, so he said, I would not joke about my daughter's happiness. If my daughter and the Yuan family people were in love, then I would not say anything and agree right away. But if it was forced, then I, as her father, would definitely not just stand there and watch it. You really think so? Yan Xiner did not seem to believe him. Murong Jishui said with a clear look, Of course. About what happened back then, do you still hate me? Of course, I do, but that kind of feeling has faded away a long time ago. Just like you said, it is all in the past now. No matter what, it will not go back. Plus, Ru Hui and I are living a good life. Losing her would be the most painful thing for me. Therefore, what happened back then has nothing to do with this. Su Ru Hui did not open her mouth the whole time. When a man was talking, the woman would just stand there and watch. Even if the love rival was right in front of her, she would still have to endure it. Hearing Murong Jishui's last sentence, her face lit up. The knot in her heart seemed to have disappeared all of a sudden, and her whole body felt relaxed. All these years, she had always known that there was someone else in Murong Jishui's heart. She had been troubled and frustrated before. This time, she had gone to the Yuan family with her daughter just to see that woman. When she saw her, she secretly compared herself to her and thought that she would not be weaker than her. Right now, after hearing Murong Jishui's words, she also realized that there was indeed someone else in Murong Jishui's heart. But, just like her, it was a knot in his heart. Actually, there was no longer any feelings, only memories. Now that they had seen each other, and both of them had changed, the memories had disappeared naturally, and the knot in his heart had disappeared as well. She knew clearly that from now on, she would be the only one in Murong Jishui's heart. Without any reason, Suru Hui was glad that the two of them had met. If they had not met, she did not know how much longer she would have been troubled. Yan Xiner's expression suddenly looked a bit bad for no reason at all. No one knew why she was upset, or why she would be upset after hearing one sentence from Murong Jishui. Back in the day, she and Murong Jishui were indeed in love with each other. It was very sweet until Yuan Xiong fell in love with her. To be honest, she did not dislike Yuan Xiong at all. Therefore, she had been moved once. When she was being pressured by the Yuan family, other than the reluctance to let go of Murong Jishui, there was nothing else. After marrying into the Yuan family, her status had risen drastically. She had been living a pampered life, and after a long time, her mentality had changed. Occasionally, she would hear that Murong Jishui's cultivation had improved drastically after they had parted ways. He was just a slightly talented martial genius, but now he had grown into a famous martial genius. She was secretly happy about it. The man she used to be and the man she was with right now were both very talented. It was her happiness to be fought over by the two of them. This time, she thought that she would be able to see Murong Jishui's unwilling expression, as well as his love for her. But she was disappointed. Besides the excitement of meeting him for the first time, the rest of his expression was very calm. Hearing that he had already forgotten about what had happened in the past, she could not help but feel angry. This kind of anger was like having her toy taken away by someone else. Her eyes turned cold as she said, "Could you please give me some face and not stop this marriage? Actually, it is a good thing for your daughter to marry into the Yuan family. Only by joining the Yuan family will she be able to get more resources and achieve more. Why do you want my daughter to marry into the Yuan family? Is it because they're the main family of the demi-demon race?" Murong Jishui asked back. Yin Shiner froze a bit. "Is it not good to marry into the Yuan family? You have changed." Murong Jishui looked at Yin Shiner deeply. "I do not recognize you anymore." Taking a deep breath, he said with determination, "I will not agree to this marriage. My daughter's happiness will be decided by herself. No one can interfere, including myself." "You are so stubborn." Yin Shiner was a bit annoyed. "Yes, I am stubborn. But as long as my family is happy, what is wrong with being stubborn? I've already begged you like this. Are you really not going to give me any face at all? Just for the sake of what happened in the past?" The perfect demi-demon bloodline was very important to the Yuan family. Otherwise, she would not have begged Murong Jishui like this. Murong Jishui's heartlessness had made her hate him. "Impossible," Murong Jishui said with certainty. Yin Shiner bit on her teeth as she pointed at Yi Chun and said with a cold voice, "Murong Jishui, do not forget that the members of the demi-demon family are only allowed to marry within the family. Are you trying to break the rule of the demi-demon family by bringing him here? I do not know about their future. I only know that my daughter does not want to marry into the Yuan family, and no one can force her to do so." Yuan Jin sneered. "How do you know that your daughter does not want to marry into the Yuan family? Perhaps you are the mastermind behind this. Just ask right now." Murong Jishui looked a bit gloomy. After he finished talking, he turned his head to look at Murong Qingcheng. "Qingcheng, are you willing to marry into the Yuan family, to Yuan Jin's son, Yuan Yi? If not, just say it. They will not do anything to you." Murong Qingcheng was about to say no when Yuan Jin sent a message to her. "Little girl, to be honest, I have high hopes for you. Your talent is no weaker than Yes. If you train it well, you'll be able to become a life and death realm warrior in the future. Therefore, marrying into our Yuan family would be the best choice for you. Don't say no yet. Your mother has already been poisoned by the shadowless poison, which you should know about. This kind of poison is invisible and untraceable, and there is no way to find out about it. Naturally, there is no way to cure it. Even life and death realm warriors might not be able to cure it. There's only one antidote. If you say no, I will destroy it right on the spot, and your mother will die because of you. Think about it carefully. Do not disappoint me and your mother." Hearing him, Murong Qingcheng's expression changed drastically. She was shocked and angry. She looked at her mother, then looked at Yi Chun. She seemed to be struggling. At the same time, Yi Chun's expression changed as well. His silver pupils were cold and emotionless. Chapter 555. Yuan Jin, is this how your Yuan family does things? You are indeed unscrupulous. But today, I will not let you get what you want. The Zhen Yuan communication was not something that could be read just by looking at the mouth. Yi Chun had a super powerful soul power, so after analyzing it, he was able to understand what Yuan Jin had said to Murong Qingsheng. He was shocked and angered at the same time. He could not believe that this Yuan Jin would do something like this, poisoning a member of the demi-demon family. Was he not afraid of causing an internal conflict within the demi-demon family? Damn it, do you know what I'm talking about? Yuan Jin looked at Murong Qingsheng with hatred. He thought that it was Murong Qingsheng who had told Yi Chun about it. Murong Qingsheng was shocked. Her mind was in a mess, and she could not think of telling anyone. Plus, it was about her mother's life after all. Murong Jishui could tell that something was not right, so he asked Yi Chun, what happened? Su Ruhui looked over as well. Yi Chun thought about it and decided to tell the truth. Since it was poison, there must be a way to cure it. He could just ask the Dragon King for help. With his top king level power, this shadowless poison should not be a problem for him. With a dark look on his face, he said, and he was poisoned by the Yuan family to threaten Murong Qingsheng. Hearing him, Murong Jishui was so angry that he almost puked out blood. He threw out a palm attack toward Yuan Jin. Old man, you dare to poison Ruhui? Today, it will be either you or me. Boom! Chi flow exploded as Yuan Jin blocked out Murong Jishui's attack. How dare you? Take it down. How dare you? Seeing Murong Jishui attacking their headmaster, all of the powerful warriors of the Yuan family had flames burning in their eyes. They felt that it was not something that could be tolerated, so they wanted to make a move. Stop! Su Ruhui yelled out. Waiting until both of them had calmed down a bit, Su Ruhui said with a cold face, Yuan Jin, I'm also a member of the demi-demon family. You poisoning me, do you think it is too much? Also, do not forget that I am a member of the Su family. Although we are not as powerful as your Yuan family, we will not let anyone bully us. Yuan Jin hated Yi Chun to the bone. This poisoning thing could not be brought out in the open. It was exactly because he thought that Murong Qingsheng would not tell the truth that he had used it as a threat. Taking a deep breath, Yuan Jin said slowly, I did not want to do this, but you are forcing me. If you agree to this marriage, I will hand over the antidote right away. As for the Su family, it seems like you have already been kicked out of your family. I believe they would not go against our Yuan family just because of you. You're despicable. No matter how well-mannered Su Ruhui was, she was still infuriated. Those who want to achieve great things don't bother with trifles. Moreover, their union is the most perfect thing for the Demi-Demon clan. You guys are so stubborn that you are the scourge of the Demi-Demon clan. Yuan Jin's voice was cold. Third brother, let's fight with them. Murong Wu and the 10 powerful warriors from the Murong family had just woken up from their stupor, standing behind the few of them quietly. Murong Jishui suppressed the anger that was burning like a volcano inside him as he said with a low voice, Yuan Jin, hand over the antidote, and there will still be a chance for us to turn this around. Otherwise, I will not stop until you die. Either you die, or I die. Yuan Jin did not answer Murong Jishui. He turned his head to look at Murong Qingsheng. Little girl, your mother's life is in your hands. I will ask you one more time. Do you agree or not? If you do not agree, then this only antidote will be gone forever. As he spoke, he took out a white medicine bottle. His palm was shining with a purple gold light. As long as he pushed out his Zhen Yuan, this bottle would be destroyed into nothingness. Su Ruhui said angrily, Qingsheng, do not agree. Even if you agree, I will not be happy for the rest of my life. Plus, according to what I know, the shadowless poison is not incurable. It's just that the ingredients are hard to find. Sacrificing her daughter's happiness for her own life was something that she could not do. Murong Jishui had a complicated look on his face. He thought about it, but did not say anything. Father, mother. Murong Qingsheng wanted to say something, but stopped. She seemed to be struggling. Murong Jishui sighed. Listen to your mother. Do not agree. I do not believe that there is no antidote for this shadowless poison. Then, he yelled at Yuan Jin, there are so many people here looking at you. Do you think you still have the face? You are the scourge of the demi-demon family. Damn it. Yuan Jin's face twisted a little. Indeed, What he had done would make him a laughingstock for everyone in the Gulan region. But since he had already made it this far, there was no turning back. As long as he handed over the antidote, his reputation would be restored. What a joke. He might as well go all the way and see who would be the one laughing in the end. The rumors would eventually disappear. Little girl, do you agree or not? Crack. The white medicine bottle in Yuan Jin's hand started to crack, seeming like it would shatter at any second. Do not agree. Su Ruhui stared at Yuan Jin angrily. Tightening the gold sword in his hand, Yi Chen's expression was getting colder and colder. He could not say anything to make Murong Qingsheng say no, since it was related to his mother's life. Of course, no matter how it would end up, Yuan Jin and his son had already been listed as his targets. Sorry, I will not say yes. Murong Qingsheng bit on her pearly white teeth as she said this. Good, good, good. Yuan Jin said the word good 3 times in a row, and then the white bottle in his hand shattered with a bang, completely turning into nothingness. Yuan Jin, Murong Jishui's eyes were bloodshot. Jishui, Su Ruhui grabbed onto Murong Jishui. In the Yuan family, you will not be able to win against them. Anyway, this shadowless poison is not without an antidote. We can think of something when we get back. It would be better than losing our lives here or being locked up. Who? Murong Jishui took a couple of deep breaths. His wife was right. It would not be wise to fight with them here, and it would also give a Yuan family an excuse to attack them. Therefore, no matter how angry he was, he would have to hold it in. He would take it out later. Let's go. Murong Jishui stared at Yuan Jin and said to his people, Go. Where do you think you're going? Murong Jishui, you have offended our Yuan family time and time again. Right now, as the headmaster of our Yuan family, I'm going to capture you. Little brat Yi, this is our demi-demon family's business. If you dare to make a move, I will not go easy on you. Come, surround them. The Yuan family had lost a lot of face. Yuan Jin did not even say anything before asking them to leave. It was like a double loss for them. How dare you? Su Ruhui and Murong Jishui yelled at the same time. Why not? Everyone, listen up. Capture Murong Jishui for me. If anyone else dares to move, kill them. With Yuan Jin's order, the powerful warriors of the Yuan family appeared from all directions, surrounding Murong Jishui and his people. Qin, taking out his gold sword, Yi Chan said, Sorry, but today you are so stubborn. I will have to fight with your Yuan family. Wang Shi and Yin Kuei stood up. Junior brother Yi will accompany you. Yuan Jin, you've shown off enough today. Let's see how you explain to our dragon god Celestial Palace in the future. I'll report everything that happened today in full detail. You have gone too far. Do it. Yuan Jin's 3 corpses were infuriated. He waved his palm. Boom, boom, boom. The whole plaza was in chaos. Dozens of Yuan family warriors attacked the dozens of people on Yi Chen's side. As for the other guests, they had already backed out of the area, watching the scene with interest. Yuan Jin and a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior had joined hands to attack Murong Jishui. Judging on power, Yuan Jin was not weaker than Murong Jishui and was actually slightly more powerful. Together with the other master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, they would be able to take down Murong Jishui easily. As for the rest of the people, they would not be an opponent for the Yuan family at all. Meanwhile, Yin Shiner was facing Su Ruhui, and they did not see eye to eye with each other. Right then, the Yuan family and the Murong family had turned against each other, so naturally, they were treating each other as enemies. Dang! After blowing away a powerful warrior from the Yuan family with one sword attack, Yi Chen realized that it was not going to be good. If this continued, all the warriors from the Murong family would be killed sooner or later. No choice. I guess I will have to use my Thunder Disaster Sword then. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Yi Chen would not reveal his semi-extreme rank great sword in front of everyone. Right then, he could not care about that anymore. Putting the gold sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and poured his Jun Yuan into it. The sword body turned into a beam of lightning, stretching and shrinking. Shoo! With one sword attack, A Yuan family warrior's arm fell off as he backed out while screaming, "Kill!" With the Thunder Disaster sword in his hand, Yi Chen's battling power increased drastically. He killed his way in and out of the Yuan family warriors, and not a single one of them could stop him. Soon, there were already 4 warriors who had been wounded badly by his sword. It is a semi-extreme rank great sword. Outside of the stage, someone could tell the rank of the sword. It is indeed a semi-extreme rank great sword. This power is so horrifying. Falling into his hands is indeed a waste. I am a master level Sea of Souls Rel warrior. If I have a semi-extreme rank great sword in my hand, who would be my opponent below the king warriors? I would be able to go anywhere in the world. A lot of people started to get greedy. Although they did not dare to kill Yi Chen, they would still dare to steal the sword secretly, since it was too important for them. Gold Resonant Radiance Sword. Facing the area with the most warriors of the Yuan family, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack, performing his most powerful sword movement, the Gold Resonant Radiance Sword. That thick sword light was like a scythe that was harvesting lives. A row of Yuan family warriors fell down, and no one knew if they were still alive or dead. Those who were closer had also been wounded by the sword light, puking out blood continuously. "Fight your way out." Cutting out a gap, Yi Chen yelled to everyone, "Bastard! Where did that brat get that semi-extreme rank greatsword?" In the air, Yuan Jin had sensed the weird situation down there, so he could not help but look down. What he saw made him furious. Dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors from the Yuan family had been knocked out, and some of the remaining ones were wounded as well. Their battling power had been greatly reduced. On the other side, only 3 to 5 warriors from the Morong family had been wounded, and none of them had been knocked out. Morong Jishui had also seen the scene down there, and he let out a breath of relief. Normally, only Sea of Souls realm warriors would be able to join in the battle. Therefore, no matter how many warriors there were in the Yuan family, most of them would not be able to make a difference. Once one reached the life and death realm, one warrior's power would be able to fight against a super martial school or family. Chapter 556. Morong Jishui. Don't even think about it anymore. Today, you will not be able to get out of the Yuan family alive. Yuan Jin kept his composure. He knew that as long as he waited for a while, the other Sea of Souls realm warriors of the Yuan family would arrive, and his main goal was to take down Morong Jishui. Morong Jishui sneered, "With the 2 of you teaming up, I indeed would not be able to win. But if you want to take me down, it would be impossible." He and Yuan Jin were more or less the same. Adding on a normal Sea of Souls realm master level warrior, they might be able to make him suffer a bit. But if he wanted to leave, they would not be able to stop him either. Huh, do you really think so? Yuan Jin's speed was like lightning as he continued to attack, while the master level Sea of Souls realm warrior who was teaming up with him helped out on the side. Down below, the plaza of the Yuan family was full of holes, and most of the buildings around had been destroyed as well. From time to time, there would be warriors of the Yuan family flying over from a certain direction and joining the battle. Therefore, the number of warriors attacking the Yuan family was always around 30. This brat is powerful. Let the 5 of us work together to hold him off. With the Thunder Disaster Sword in his hand, Yi Chen was extremely powerful. Wherever he went, there would be blood rain and thunder light. Whenever the sword light flashed once, there would be people falling down with their hands covering their wounds. No one could stop him. Seeing that the warriors of the Yuan family would be heavily injured, the 5 top spirit warriors went up to fight against Yi Chen. They were the masters of the Yuan family, and their ranks were not low. Speed Sword Hell. If it were the gold sword performing the Speed Sword Hell, each sword shadow's power would only be equivalent to a normal Soul Realm warrior's full power attack. But it was performed by the Thunder Disaster Sword, which increased the power to that of a spirit warrior's full power attack. Countless sword shadows spread out, looking like a blue ocean of light attacking out. And Yi Chen was the source of that blue light ocean, the starting point of the attack. How could he perform this many sword shadows at the same time? Each of them is equivalent to a normal spirit warrior's full power attack. He might be able to block out 10 of them, but he might not be able to block out 20 or even 30. The 5 of them came with an aggressive aura, but they were leaving in a bad shape. Even Yuan family warriors around them had been wounded by the sharp sword shadows. "Brat, you dare!" Another peak expert of Yuan clan rushed over from afar. This person was the third-ranked elder of Yuan clan, named Yuan Lai. His weapon was a huge blade. The blade's body was as red as fire, and as soon as he slashed out, a fiery blade energy swept out in all directions. Kill! Yi Chun unsheathed the gold sword with his left hand and performed a cross-slash with the Thunder Disaster Sword. The 2 sword lights, one straight and one reverse, seemed like a pair of executioner's hands as they went against the flaming blade energy. Not only did they split the blade energy apart, they even carried a lot of it to attack Yuan Lai. Damn it, when did this brat become a guru? No, that sword. Yuan Lai had seen Yi Chun's portrait before, so he could recognize him at a glance. In his impression, Yi Chun was still far from a master level, so it was impossible for him to be his opponent. At this moment, seeing the opponent's counterattack was so sharp that even part of his flame blade energy was swept back, he was shocked. After the initial shock, he immediately realized that it was the Thunder Disaster Sword that was causing trouble, and not Yi Chun's own strength. Bang! Yuan Lai was, after all, a Sea of Soul Master, so it was impossible for him to be defeated in one strike. Holding the blade with both hands, he raised it horizontally like a reef on the shore, enduring the waves all year round, unmoving and steady like Mount Tai. The moment the sword light and flame blade energy arrived, they were deflected without the slightest injury. The semi-supreme grade sword is a waste in your hands. I'll take care of it for you. Let go. With a shake of his body, Yuan Lai's aura changed from that of a reef to that of a volcano. His body contained an extremely frightening flame power. Holding the blade with both hands, he slashed 18 times toward Yi Chun. Each slash was extremely powerful, and the scorching blade wind melted the potholed ground into crystals. Sword Light Flight Art. A sword light flickered outside Yi Chun's body, and he instantly arrived in the sky. The gold sword had long since returned to its scabbard. The Thunder Disaster Sword in his hand was like a wriggling lightning as it slashed toward Yuan Lai below. The sword light sliced through the space, creating ripples like water. What a fast speed! Yuan Lai had just returned to Yuan clan, so he didn't know that Yi Chun still had this ace up his sleeve. His blade energy missed, but his figure flickered as well. With a speed as explosive as fire, he dodged Yi Chun's strongest sword strike. The movement technique contains the profound of fire. Yi Chun's brows creased. Among the major attributes, thunder and wind held the advantage in terms of speed. However, this was only under normal circumstances. Powerful experts could dig out other attributes that could aid in speed. For example, fire was the fastest when it burst out. Of course, it couldn't last as long as thunder and wind, so it could only burst out for a short period of time. Kid Yi, I'm the third elder of Yuan clan. Do you think you could defeat me? Yuan Lai appeared behind Yi Chun. He stretched out his left hand, and a scarlet whirlpool shot out. The whirlpool contained a powerful suction force, pulling the air like blades as it tried to pull Yi Chun over. Yi Chun knew that although Yuan Lai wasn't as powerful as Yuan Jin, he was still a powerful Sea of Soul Master-level expert. Ordinary Master-level experts couldn't compare to him. Wanting to defeat him in a short period of time was indeed impossible. However, at this moment, there was no way out. Even if he couldn't fight, he had to. Gold Resonant Radiance. The intense battle intent caused Yi Chun's aura to become as sharp as a sword. At this critical moment, he had comprehended the Gold Resonant Radiance to greater completion. 90% completion and greater completion seemed to only be 10% difference, but the effect was completely different. 90% completion meant that there were still flaws, while greater completion meant complete perfection. Be it sword aura or sword energy, they couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. Chop! The Thunder Disaster Sword was dyed with a layer of gold as Yi Chun's sword slashed across the sky. Puff! The scarlet whirlpool was split into two, and the dazzling golden sawtooth sword light carried an unstoppable sword aura as it shot toward Yuan Lai. What? Breakthrough in battle. Yuan Lai was stunned. It was rumored that there were some geniuses who were good at fighting. The more they fought, the stronger they would become. They would often be able to break through their bottlenecks under extreme pressure and advance a step further. Against such geniuses, a slight advantage wasn't considered an advantage, because the opponent could instantly turn this advantage into nothing. The opponent's advantage would only make him stronger. It would be his stepping stone. Bastard! You dare to use me as a stepping stone? Yuan Lai was enraged. He slashed out with a fiery aura and a fiery blade aura. His entire body seemed like a flaming blade, imposing and tyrannical. Rumble! The sword light and blade energy collided, and the ground within several li surged like waves in the sea. Soon after, beams of sword light and blade energy soared into the sky, turning the area into a blade and sword hell. Be it Yuan clan's experts or Murong clan's experts, they all stopped. They discovered that this sword light and blade energy had a killing power that could pierce through their protective Jinyuan. As for the area several li away, it seemed to be separated by an invisible chi wall. As soon as the surging ground reached there, it was pushed back. It was the Yuan clan's demonic human king, protecting the clan's buildings from being damaged. Only the plaza and the surrounding area were left as the battleground. Of course, although the demonic human king of Yuan clan could instantly kill anyone here, it was precisely because he was a demonic human king that he could not make a move. He could not even enter the battlefield. Yichun was a genius favored by the Dragon King. If they made a move, the Dragon King might personally pay a visit to the Yuan clan in the future. It was fine if the Yuan clan bullied him with numbers, but even a demonic human king was making a move. It was clear that the Yuan clan did not put him in their eyes. Junior Brother Yi is too ferocious. Almost all of the Murong clan's experts were injured, but Wang Shi and Yin Kuei were unscathed. After all, they were Dragon God Celestial Palace's people, and the Yuan clan's experts wouldn't dare to do anything to them. At most, they could only hold them back and prevent them from supporting others. Su Ruhui nodded. He is indeed a dragon among men, a sword Dao genius. After saying these words, her brows creased. In the sky, Murong Jishui was being pushed back again and again. Under the joint attack of 2 Sea of Soul Realm Masters, it was already not easy for him to hold on until now. Murong Jishui, surrender. Otherwise, you'll be buried here today. Yuan Jin's fist shot out countless golden blades, slicing through the void. In your dreams, Murong Jishui resisted with all his might, pushing his strength to the limit. Rumble. On one side, Yichun was facing Yuan Lai, while on the other side, Yuan Jin and the Yuan clan's elders were facing Murong Jishui. The two battlefields were crisscrossing, and the space rippled like water. The others temporarily stopped and raised their heads to watch. All of you stop. Right at this moment, a loud roar came from outside the Yuan clan. This roar was majestic and powerful, as if the voice had condensed into steel and was forcibly transmitted into everyone's ears. Those with slightly lower cultivation base paled and felt dizzy, while those with higher cultivation base revealed astonished expressions. Palace leader Yao Yifeng suddenly raised his head and looked outside the Yuan clan's gate. Palace leader has arrived. Wang Shi and Yin Kuei were overjoyed. Although they were a bit surprised that the palace leader had arrived so quickly, it was still a good thing. Swish, swish, swish. 3 silhouettes dashed over and appeared on the square. The person in the lead was a burly man in his 50s. He wore a yellow robe that was embroidered with an angry dragon that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Still not stopping, the yellow-robed, middle-aged man waved his wide sleeves, slapping 2 palms toward the 2 battlefields in the sky. The ferocious palm energy brought with it a loud, vibrating sound. Yichun and Yuan Lai only felt a powerful pressure, and they couldn't help but retreat. On the other side, Yuan Jin and Murong Jishui also stopped. Under this ferocious palm energy, They didn't feel any better. So powerful. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. The yellow-robed middle-aged man was clearly a sea of soul master. But, be it Yuan Jin or Yuan Lai, neither of them was half as strong as him. A mere palm attack from a distance was enough to separate them, and the aftershock of the palm energy caused his blood and qi to boil. Seeing the yellow-robed middle-aged man, Yuan Jin's complexion changed. He descended from the sky and cupped his fists. So, it's palace leader Zhang. This one is Yuan clan's great elder, Yuan Jin. What's going on? The yellow-robed middle-aged man was precisely Dragon God, Celestial Palace's Yellow Dragon Palace's palace leader, Zhang Jingguang. After receiving the message from Wang Shi and Yin Kuei, he had rushed through the night and arrived at Yuan clan. Before entering seclusion, Palace Leader had instructed him to nurture Yi Chun as the future Palace Leader. Of course, it might not necessarily be Yellow Dragon Palace Leader. Chapter 557. The leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishui, has offended my Yuan family. In order to protect the dignity of my family, I am trying to capture him. Yuan Jin was quite apprehensive of Zhang Jingguang. Although the latter was not a famous Sea of Souls realm master-level warrior, he was still a top master-level warrior. The gap between them was not 1,000, but at least 800. Even two of them would not be his opponent. Most importantly, the latter was the leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Since he could not get along with Yi Chun, it could be said that Yi Chun was not a member of the Dragon God Celestial Palace. However, Zhang Jingguang was clearly a member of the Dragon God Celestial Palace. Moreover, he was one of the upper echelons, the leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Zhang Jingguang turned his head and looked at Yi Chun. Then what's the matter with Yi Chun exchanging blows with him? Don't your people know that Yi Chun is a genius favored by Palace Master? Or perhaps you don't put my Palace Master in your eyes at all. That's why you're acting so unbridled and acting as you please. Zhang Jingguang was obviously biased toward Yi Chun, going straight to the point. Leader, Yao Yifeng was anxious. If Zhang Jingguang was biased toward Yi Chun, then he would not have a good ending. It was the opposite of his original plan. In fact, Zhang Jingguang's arrival was out of his expectation, catching him off guard. You shut up. Zhang Jingguang glared at Yao Yifeng. He had already learned the whole story from Wang Shi and Yin Kuei. Yao Yifeng's actions had made him very angry. Yi Chun was a martial genius valued by the Palace Master, but Yao Yifeng had treated him like this. It was simply too lawless, thinking too highly of himself. Yao Yifeng swallowed back the words he was about to say. He then vaguely glanced at Yi Chun, a trace of killing intent appearing in the depths of his pupils. Yuan Jin saw Zhang Jingguang's attitude toward Yao Yifeng, and his brows creased even more. Yi Chen's relationship with the Murong family is not shallow. Therefore, he tried to stop our Yuan family from capturing Murong Jishui. Yuan Lai went up to stall him, not to make things difficult for him. Yin Kuei sneered, Elder Yuan, your ability to lie through your teeth is indeed impressive. I won't mention the matter of Mo Luo sneak attacking junior brother Yi, since you wouldn't admit it even if I told you. Afterward, I heard your clansman asking junior brother Yi to kneel down and apologize, and if he didn't, he wouldn't be allowed to leave. Then, your son and junior brother Yi had a fair competition, and because your son was injured, you attacked out of anger, saying that you would teach junior brother Yi a lesson for our Dragon God Celestial Palace. Oh, there is such a thing. Zhang Jingguang narrowed his eyes. Yuan Jin was quite angered by Yin Kuei, but he braced himself and said, Today is, after all, my son's wedding day. Yi Chun and the Murong family's people came to cause trouble. Our Yuan family couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Therefore, some hot-blooded actions were unavoidable. Glancing at the two towers of Yuan family, Zhang Jingguang said, All right, I don't care what happened during this period. I'm taking Yi Chun away now. Do you have any objections? Of course not. Even if Yuan Jin hated Yi Chun to the bone, he wouldn't dare to say anything. He was very clear that if he went against Zhang Jingguang, his family would very likely abandon him. The family could support him in the dark, but they wouldn't allow him to do so openly. Yi Chun cupped his fists and said, Greetings, Hall Leader Zhang. Zhang Jingguang faintly smiled and nodded. Not bad. Although you're relying on a half-step extreme greatsword, you can contend against a master-level expert of the Yuan family and even gain a slight advantage. This kind of strength is even above Li Shaoling. Thank you for your praise, Hall Leader Zhang. Yi Chun continued. The Murong family is Yi Chen's friend. As friends, we should advance and retreat together. His meaning was that if he left, the Murong family's people would also have to leave. Hearing these words, Zhang Jingguang turned his head toward Yuan Jin and said, "In that case, I'll take the Murong family's people as well. Otherwise, I won't be able to take Yi Chun. This is not appropriate, right?" Yuan Jin's complexion turned gloomy. What? You don't want to? Zhang Jingguang's complexion also turned gloomy. Murong Jishui has offended my Yuan family. If we let him leave like this, what dignity does my Yuan family have? Others can leave, but not him. I heard that you forced his daughter first. So what if he's hot-blooded? I'll be taking him away. You don't need to see me off. Zhang Jingguang's figure was tall and sturdy, and his words were even more domineering. Yuan Jin tightened his fists and said in a low voice, "Hall Leader Zhang, this is my demonic clan's matter. I ask you not to interfere." So what if I interfere? Yuan Jin's eyes turned sharp. Hall Leader Zhang, respect is mutual. I ask you not to force me. Zhang Jingguang looked straight at Yuan Jin and suddenly burst into laughter. Force you? What qualifications do you have for me to force you? If I force you, what are you going to do? Send out experts to kill me? It's not that I'm looking down on you or your Yuan family. I alone am enough to contend against all the experts of your Yuan family. If you don't believe me, you can try. It was unrealistic for one person to contend against all the sea of soul realm experts of Yuan family. However, Zhang Jingguang still had confidence in the few experts present. Yuan Jin's complexion turned extremely unsightly. Blue veins popped out on his forehead. Humiliation, absolute humiliation. Yuan Jin had never suffered such humiliation before. What do you think? I don't mind warming up a bit. Zhang Jingguang's expression was very relaxed. Jiner, let them go. Just as Yuan Jin was feeling extremely humiliated, a voice entered his ears. It was a demonic human king of Yuan family. Old ancestor has spoken. Yuan Jin was startled, but he immediately clenched his teeth and said, "As Hall Leader Zhang wishes." Hall Leader Zhang. Seeing that Zhang Jingguang was about to leave with Murong family's people, Murong Jishui was naturally happy. However, there was something that worried him even more. What is it? Zhang Jingguang looked at Murong Jishui. Yichen spoke in place of Murong Jishui. Hall Leader Zhang, Yuan family has poisoned Uncle Murong's wife. Uncle Murong wants to ask if Yuan family has the antidote. Poisoned? Zhang Jingguang was somewhat astonished. He truly didn't expect Yuan family to do something like poisoning. Moreover, it was brought out in the open. This was truly a great loss of face. Hall Leader Zhang, there is only one antidote, and it has already been destroyed by me. There is no second antidote. Yuan Jin coldly said, "You really destroyed it?" Murong Jishui had some hope in his heart. He hoped that Yuan Jin's destruction was fake. Of course it's destroyed. Yuan Jin was a bit pleased. Shadowless poison was one of the rare poisons under the heavens, and the ingredients to concoct it were extremely hard to find. Otherwise, Yuan family wouldn't only have one antidote. It should be known that this thing was even rarer than the 3 calamity bewitching powder. Since there is no antidote, let's go. Zhang Jingguang didn't want to know whether Yuan Jin had the antidote or not, because it made no difference. If the other party didn't want to hand it over, he wouldn't be able to do anything unless he was a life and death king. Only a king's request would the other party not dare to resist, unless they wanted to be exterminated. Jishui, let's go. Let's go back and think of something. Su Ruhui, on the other hand, was quite open-minded as she consoled Murong Jishui. Murong Jishui silently nodded. Waiting until Zhang Jingguang, Yi Chun, and the rest left, Yuan Jin sucked in a deep breath and suddenly slammed his palm on the pothole plaza. With a pung sound, a crack appeared on the plaza. Today, Yuan family could be said to have suffered a double loss. They had become the laughingstock of everyone present, and he, Yuan Jin, was even more of a laughingstock. In the main hall of Yellow Dragon Palace, Zhang Jingguang sat on the main seat while Yao Yifeng, Yi Chun, and the rest sat below. As for the Murong family's people, they were arranged to stay in other buildings. Yao Yifeng, do you know your crime? Zhang Jingguang coldly looked at Yao Yifeng below. Yao Yifeng still wanted to argue. Leader, Yi Chun is causing trouble everywhere. Sooner or later, he will bring trouble to our dragon god, Celestial Palace. Yao Yifeng is thinking for the sake of the dragon god, Celestial Palace. Leader, please investigate this. Investigate? Investigate you? Leader, Yao Yifeng's heart was filled with fear and anger. It was all because of Yi Chun. It was all Yi Chun's fault. Without him, he wouldn't have to suffer. If he didn't have a good time, Yi Chun wouldn't have a good time either. Your matter, come back with me. Wang Shi, after Yao Yifeng leaves, you will temporarily take charge of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Yin Kuei, you will assist him. I will send a new deputy after a while. Zhang Jingguang didn't want to waste any more words with Yao Yifeng. What kind of person was Yi Chun? He was the future savior of the dragon god, Celestial Palace. He was very clear about the palace's current situation, and it was truly urgent. They were waiting for a genius to fully mature, and Yi Chun was undoubtedly the most promising one among them. Yao Yifeng actually dared to target Yi Chun. If Yi Chun became hostile toward the palace because of this, even 100 Yao Yifengs wouldn't be enough. Fortunately, Wang Shi and Yin Kuei had informed him in time. Otherwise, it would truly be a big deal. What? Yao Yifeng didn't dare to believe his ears. He was going to be stripped of his deputy position. He was going to be replaced by a new deputy just because he had treated Yi Chun unfairly. Leader, although Yao Yifeng is guilty, it is not to this extent. Yao Yifeng may not have contributed much to the palace, but he has worked hard. I, Yao Yifeng, am not satisfied with this punishment. Yao Yifeng was somewhat hysterical. Zhang Jingguang coldly snorted. Not satisfied? Come back with me, and you'll be satisfied. Yellow Dragon, sealing great art. Abruptly standing up, Zhang Jingguang tossed out a yellow ball of light. The ball floated before his chest. He formed a seal with both hands, and with a rumble, the entire Yellow Dragon Palace branch trembled. Soon after, the shadow of a yellow dragon rushed out of the ball of light, appearing above Yao Yifeng and enveloping him within. Yao Yifeng wanted to escape from the yellow dragon shadow, but in the next moment, dozens of light dots flickered on its body. The moment they appeared, the yellow dragon shadow rapidly shrunk and entered Yao Yifeng's body. My Jinyuan and my physical strength? Yao Yifeng discovered that he was unable to use Jinyuan. Even his meridians had been sealed, and his body was limp and powerless. It was as if there was a yellow dragon coiling inside his body, constantly devouring his Jinyuan and blood qi. Without these two, he could only use his martial will. However, without the support of blood qi, his martial will would gradually weaken. It should be known that the soul and the body were connected. Chapter 558. You two, take him away and keep a close eye on him. Zhang Jingguang said to the two he brought. Yes, these two were also Taoist-level experts. Watching over Yao Yifeng, who had lost his Jinyuan, was a piece of cake. They immediately stepped forward and pulled him away. Before leaving, Yao Yifeng shot a venomous glance at Yi Chun, as if he wanted to imprint the latter in his eyes. However, Yi Chun didn't feel anything and remained indifferent. Yi Chun, this is the first time we've met. You're much more outstanding than I imagined. Zhang Jingguang revealed a faint smile and said to Yi Chun. Yi Chun faintly smiled and casually asked, Hall Leader Zhang, I wonder how you'll punish him. A Sea of Soul Master should be very important to Dragon God Celestial Palace, right? Sea of Soul Masters were not cabbages. If a 6th grade sect had a Sea of Soul Master, they would become one of the peak 6th grade sections. For 5th grade sects, the number of Sea of Soul Masters was also the key to their comprehensive strength. Using the words of Yi Chun's world, Life and Death Kings were nuclear weapons, while Sea of Soul Masters were guided missiles. Nuclear weapons couldn't be used casually, so guided missiles became the main weapons, each having their own uses. Zhang Jingguang said, since he did something wrong, he has to atone for it. His crime isn't worthy of death. Therefore, I'll report to the higher-ups and send him to Blood Battle Ocean. He'll render meritorious service for Dragon God, Celestial Palace, and atone for his crimes. Blood Battle Ocean? Yichen could feel the killing intent in this name. Zhang Jingguang smiled. Blood Battle Ocean is rich in resources. All the major forces of Eastern Shallow Ocean have their troops stationed there. It's a cruel place. Faintly nodding, Yichen was clear that when it came to the fight for resources, it would be hard to not be cruel. Yichen, what's your strength? Zhang Jingguang suddenly asked. Yichen pondered for a moment, then said, without using the Thunder Disaster Sword, I should be able to contend against ordinary sea of Soul Masters. However, if I were to encounter an ordinary sea of Soul Master with an extremely fast speed, I would be at a disadvantage. Defense had always been Yichen's weakness. Facing a Sea of Souls Realm Master level warrior with a fast speed, this weakness would be magnified. You are at the peak of early Sea of Soul Realm, and you haven't trained any defensive profound sense martial skills. So, it is inevitable that your defense will be low. Actually, Zhang Jingguang was already very surprised. There were 3 criteria to be a master-level Sea of Souls Realm warrior. First, a late Sea of Souls Realm cultivation. Second, a couple of low-rank profound sense martial arts and 1 mid-rank profound sense martial art. Third, a rank 4 martial spirit. Of course, since some people were special in certain areas, even if one of the 3 did not meet the criteria, they could still be considered as a master-level warrior as long as their overall power was enough. Yichen's cultivation and profound sense martial arts did not meet the criteria, but with only his powerful sword spirit, he was able to enter the master-level warrior realm. It was not hard to imagine how powerful he was. This kind of genius is hard to find in the whole world. No Wonder Palace Master would list him as the number 1 seed of Dragon God, Celestial Palace. Even Li Shaoling and the rest are ranked behind him. Li Shaoling was one of the candidates for Yellow Dragon Hall's deputy. His overall strength might not be as good as Yichen's, but he was strong in all aspects. His cultivation base was at the peak of mid-sea of Soul Realm, and he was already studying mid-rank profound sense martial skills. His martial spirit was at the 4th rank. Originally, Zhang Jingguang was more optimistic about Li Shaoling. However, after seeing Yichen, he changed his opinion. In comparison, Yichen was younger, and his potential was greater. Especially his sword spirit, it was simply world-shaking. Once he matured in other aspects, his accomplishments would be astonishing. Yao Yifeng, this matter was an accident. I hope you don't take it to heart. Many people on my Dragon God, Celestial Palace attach great importance to you. Zhang Jingguang said with a stern expression. Yichen laughed involuntarily. Hall Master Zhang is overthinking things. When a forest is big, there are all kinds of birds. I won't take this matter to heart. It's good that you can think this way. Zhang Jingguang let out a sigh of relief. He had long heard of Yichen's character, and after seeing it today, he felt that it was true. Yichen recalled the matter of Murong Qingqing's mother and said with a frown, Hall Master Zhang, how long will the shadowless poison flare up? Zhang Jingguang's face turned cold. The shadowless poison is one of the most mysterious poisons under the heavens. After being poisoned, it becomes traceless and formless, making it impossible to find the source. Precisely because of this, the shadowless poisons flare up a bit later. It won't be fatal immediately, but once it does, nobody can save it, including life and death kings. The duration of the shadowless poison's flare-up is related to the grade of the poisoned person's spirit body. If a Sea of Soul Realm expert with a first-step spirit body is poisoned, it will be fatal in 3 days. If a second-step spirit body is poisoned, it will be 10 days, and a third-step spirit body is 1 month. As for martial artists under Sea of Soul Realm, it will be impossible to save them in 1 day. 1 month. Su Ruhui had a third-step spirit body, which meant that she only had a month to live. They had to find a way to save her within a month. Then, is there any way for life and death kings to save her? Zhang Jingguang shook his head. I don't know either. The shadowless poison is extremely rare, and very few people are poisoned. Therefore, there is no precedent. However, I think that even if life and death kings can't save her, they should be able to delay the flare-up of the poison. Delay the flare-up? Is Senior Dragon King in the Dragon God Celestial Palace? The first person Yi Chun thought of was Dragon King. Without a choice, he could only consider it as owing Dragon King another favor. Zhang Jingguang smiled bitterly. I won't hide it from you. Palace Master is currently in closed-door training. Nobody knows where he went. Moreover, you should have heard that Palace Master's age has already surpassed 1,000 years, breaking the limit of human kings. This is his second closed-door training, and we're all very worried. Hearing these words, Yi Chun creased his brows. Sure enough, breaking the limit of human life was not that easy. Even Dragon King was in closed-door training, so one could easily imagine how difficult it was. This should be a secret, right? Yi Chun didn't understand why Zhang Jingguang would say this. Palace Master's closed-door training is not a secret. Many people are waiting for him to fail. Of course, before he fails, they won't dare to make a move. Yi Chun, actually, you don't have to go to Palace Master. In terms of saving people, Xianhou is much more skilled than Palace Master. I think if you go to Xianhou, Xianhou should agree. Yi Chun's talent was impossible for Xianhou not to notice. If Yi Chun went, he would be more useful than anyone else. Moreover, Xianhou and Dragon King had a good relationship, so it was impossible for Xianhou not to give face to Dragon King. Pausing for a bit, Zhang Jingguang continued. Xuanhou sect is in Sky Martial Region's Phoenix Cry Mountain. It's not too far from here, about 7 million li away. You can make it back in time. However, you have to be careful on the way. If there is nothing urgent, I can go with you. Every time Dragon King entered closed-door training, Dragon God Celestial Palace would be busier than usual. Zhang Jingguang had rushed over despite his busy schedule, which showed how much importance he attached to Yi Chun. Of course, it was not impossible for him to go with Yi Chun. However, Dragon King had instructed him to let Yi Chun experience more pressure. He shouldn't care about such a trivial matter. No need to trouble Palace Master Zhang. I will be more cautious by myself. Yi Chun naturally wouldn't trouble Zhang Jingguang. Taking out a map from his storage ring, Zhang Jingguang handed it over to Yi Chun and said, "This is the map of Sky Martial Region. Phoenix Crime Mountain is on it." "Many thanks." Receiving the map, Yi Chun casually put it in his storage ring. In a spacious and comfortable courtyard of Yellow Dragon Palace's branch, Murong Jishui and his family were together. "Jishui, Qingcheng, cheer up. I'm not going to die right now. There's still time." Su Ruhui saw Murong Jishui and Murong Qingcheng's gloomy expressions and said helplessly. Murong Jishui said, "No matter what, I'll save you, even if I have to risk my life." After 30 years of affection, Murong Jishui had already considered Su Ruhui as a part of him, inseparable. "Mother." Murong Qingcheng's eyes were bright red. If not for her, her mother wouldn't have been poisoned. She hated Yuan clan, but at the same time, she felt powerless. "Pata, Pata." Footsteps sounded. Yi Chun walked in from outside. "Yi Chun." The three looked over. Yi Chun smiled. "Uncle Murong, there might be a way to cure Annie's poison." "There is." Murong Jishui and Murong Qingcheng's eyes brightened. Although they knew that there was no poison in this world that could not be cured, there was a limit to their power. Right now, Yi Chun had undoubtedly brought them a ray of hope, even if it might turn out to be a disappointment in the end. "What is it?" Murong Jishui asked hopefully. Yi Chun said, "Tomorrow morning, I will leave for Sky Martial Region's Phoenix Cry Mountain and ask Xianhou to save Annie. I think with Xuanhou's power, there would be a great chance to cure Annie. Even if it doesn't work, it would at least delay the outbreak of the poison, giving me time to find the ingredients to make the antidote." Ask Xianhou to save Ruhui. Murong Jishui was shocked. Xianhou had taken good care of the Demi family, but it was not limited to the Murong family. Even the abstruse bead that she gave to his daughter Qingsheng was sent over by someone else. She did not come here personally. It could be seen that she only regarded her daughter Qingsheng as a genius that could be cultivated, unlike the Dragon King who valued Yichun. After all, how many Yichins were there in this world? Of course, if there was no other way, they could only ask Qingsheng to look for Xianhou. Now that Yichun said that he was going to look for Xianhou, it undoubtedly increased the hope. Yichen's current achievements were already so shocking. In a few years, there would be no one who would not pay attention to him. It was very likely that he would become the future Sword King, or even the Sword Emperor. That's right, the Dragon King is currently in closed-door training. Palace Head Zhang asked me to look for Xianhou. Yichen nodded. Then I'll leave it to you. All right, I'll go with you. Murong Jishui recalled that Yichun was also a target of public criticism and was somewhat worried. Who knew? Someone might launch a sneak attack on him. Yichen shook his head and said, Uncle, you stay here and accompany Andy. I alone am enough. In fact, he was worried that he would not be able to save Su Ruhui, and if he could not save her, this would be the last time Su Ruhui and Murong Jishui could be together. Yichun, be careful. Murong Qingsheng was currently still at the peak of late astral reaching realm. If she went with Yichun, she would only be a burden. She inwardly decided that she had to enter the Sea of Soul realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, the distance between her and Yichun would only grow further and further, and she would not be able to protect the family. I will. Yichen gave Murong Qingsheng a reassuring glance. Chapter 559. On the second morning, Yichen departed. The journey to the Sky Martial Region's Phoenix Cry Mountain was more than 7 million li. Even if he rode the flying puppet and flew day and night, it would still take him dozens of days. If it were in the past, dozens of days would not be a big deal for him. But now, every extra day he spent would mean more danger for Su Ruhui. High up in the sky, the rock-shaped flying puppet spread its wings and shot out. Each breath could cover 6 to 7 li, leaving a blade-like air current behind it. Sitting cross-legged on the back of the puppet, Yichen was not in the mood to look at the sea of clouds on both sides. He focused on training. During the battle with Yuan Lai, the latter had brought him a lot of pressure. Under this pressure, his spirit, qi, and soul had all made a breakthrough, becoming as sharp as a sword and as sharp as gold. He had comprehended the essence of the gold profound, which allowed him to bring his gold resonant radiant sword art from 90% completion to completion. In terms of power, the gold resonant radiant sword art of completion was not below the void shattering finger art. If it were used with the thunder disaster sword, its power would be even greater than the void shattering finger art. It would be his number 1 ace attack. However, his biggest ace had been exposed, and his power had become transparent. For Yichun, it would be very dangerous. Perhaps someone had already investigated his power and sent someone to ambush him. Therefore, although the completion of the gold resonant radiant sword art was a good thing, he could not be complacent, because complacency was a sign of failure. If he was lucky, he might still have a chance to recover, but if he was unlucky, he would fall and become a shooting star among the countless geniuses of the continent. Although it would be bright and dazzling, it would only last for a second. The void-shattering finger art cannot be improved in a short period of time. From the space mentality to the space profound, the difficulty is way beyond my imagination. I'm afraid it will not be as easy as cultivating the gold resonant radiant sword art to completion. However, if I can enter the deep void and observe the space power from a close distance, it will be a whole different story. Amaranth in nature is the advanced profound sword movement of the green lotus sword arts, and its level of subtlety is quite impressive. Once the sword is thrust out, it can accelerate through the air, making the actual sword speed faster than the naked eye can see, giving the opponent no time to react. However, the amaranthine nature is more exquisite, but its power is still not enough. It is a bit lacking as an ace attack. In terms of sword movements, besides the gold resonant radiant sword art, only the Sky Thundercut and the Reverse Sky Thundercut can be used as ace attacks. These two attacks, one positive and the other negative, stacked together, would increase their power exponentially. Under the condition of 70% completion, The two attacks would be as powerful as the 90% gold resonant radiant sword art. If it could reach 80% completion, it would probably surpass the completed gold resonant radiant sword art and become the #1 ace attack. After quickly going through all the sword moves he had learned in his mind, Yi Chun made a decision. Next, he would use all his strength to break through Sky Thundercut and Reverse Sky Thundercut. Of course, it didn't mean that he would give up on the other sword moves, but he would focus on these two moves. The Sky Thundercut is my own creation. It would be quite troublesome to learn. There is no clear path, so I would have to figure it out by myself. But these two attacks have enough potential, so it would be worth it to sacrifice some time. Let's see if I can learn something in these 10 days. Unknowingly, the flying puppet had carried Yi Chun far away from the ancient Wind City. It is time to make my move. 100 miles behind the flying puppet, a black shadow suddenly increased its speed. From 10 times the speed of sound, it reached 20 times the speed of sound. The instantaneous acceleration had caused the air in the surroundings to be unable to handle the pressure and explode. A circle of perfect space patterns spread out. 80 miles, 50 miles, 10 miles. Brat, stop right there. After chasing for 10 miles, the black shadow that was wrapped in light reached out one of his hands. That hand clenched into a fist and punched out toward where Yi Chun was standing. Back. Yi Chun did not even look back as his body jumped into the air. The flying puppet below him turned into a beam of shadow and disappeared from where it was. The next second, the space started to shake, and a blurry fist mark was left in the surreal space, looking extremely aggressive. Turning around in the air, Yi Chun looked at the approaching black shadow and said sarcastically, "You have waited until now to make your move. It must have been hard on you." You knew. The newcomer was wearing a black mask, which had the effect of blocking out soul power. Right then, he sounded a bit surprised. You guessed it right. A silver light appeared in Yi Chun's pupils. His invisible soul power went through the black mask and saw the real face of the newcomer. Sure enough, it is a sea of soul master warrior who went to the Yuan family to congratulate them. He seems to be called Tyrant Fist Master. He is a loner without any family or sect, and has only recently arrived in the Gulan region. He has a good relationship with the head elder of the Yuan family, Yuan Jin. This person specializes in fist arts, which are very aggressive. That day, there were 7 sea of soul master warriors who went to the Yuan family. 1 from the Gulan sect, 3 from the other big sects, 1 from Yao Yifeng, 1 from Murongji Shui, and 1 from this Tyrant Fist Master. Apart from Yao Yifeng and Murongji Shui, Yi Chun also had some information on the other 5. You guessed right, but there is no reward. Tyrant Fist Master's exposed eyes released a cold, killing intent. Yi Chun's strength was similar to Yuan Lai's, and his half-step extreme rank sword was only slightly higher. On the other hand, his strength was the same as Yuan Jin's. His Duga Tyrant Fist art was even more aggressive, which specialized in breaking through protective Jin Yuan. Therefore, in his eyes, Yi Chun was already a dead man. Once he killed him, his wealth and half-step extreme rank sword would all be his. It doesn't matter if I don't get a reward, but you must get one. Otherwise, wouldn't you have wasted your trip? Yi Chun said indifferently. Courting death. Tyrant Fist Master roared as his body swooped down, throwing out a punch. It was an extremely simple punch without any fancy moves. However, in the hands of Tyrant Fist Master, it was no longer ordinary. The aggressive fist intent pierced through the clouds without any hindrance. Yi Chun's expression turned serious. The air around him turned viscous under the fist intent, as if the void had been frozen. Void shattering finger. Yi Chun pointed out his finger. Wherever his blue finger went, the sticky air had been dispelled, as if the snow in the spring had been melted by the hot sun. Pung! The blue finger and the aggressive fist shadow clashed together, causing the space to ripple and blur. Even soul power was greatly affected. Yellow Dragon sealing great art. Throwing out a finger attack, Yi Chun suddenly took out a yellow light ball, which floated in front of his chest. Yi Chun formed a spell with both of his hands. As he did so, a dark yellow light started to move within the yellow light ball. looking like a furious dragon. Buzz! The yellow light ball shook once, and a yellow dragon shadow broke out of it. It ignored the chaotic chi flow between the two and flew above Tyrant Fist Master's head. The dragon shadow's tail hung down while its head was raised up high, bearing its fangs and claws like a totem. Yellow dragon sealing great art. Tyrant Fist Master was already within 100 meters of Yichun. Seeing the yellow dragon shadow, he looked like he had seen a ghost, his face full of fear. Seal! Yichun did not give his opponent any chance. He finished forming the spell, and the yellow dragon shadow shone with dozens of light dots. As the light dots lit up, the yellow dragon shadow suddenly shrunk down, ignoring the protective Zhen Yuan layer and entering his body. The whole process could only be described as lightning fast. No, my Zhen Yuan. Tyrant Fist Master did not expect that Yi Chun would learn the yellow dragon sealing great art in one night, and even get the Dragon Ball. If he had known that Yi Chun had learned the yellow dragon sealing great art, he would not have dared to attack Yi Chun. Even if he wanted to, he would have to keep his distance and not give his opponent a chance to lock onto him. The yellow dragon sealing great art was a secret of the Dragon God Celestial Palace, and it was also one of the reasons why the palace was able to dominate the world. Yi Chun, give me a chance. I will leave immediately and not trouble you anymore. My Tyrant Fist Master will never go back on his words. In his extreme panic, Tyrant Fist Master even revealed his identity. But it did not matter anymore at this point. Nothing was more important than his life. Yi Chun sneered, "If I am captured by you, will you let me go? As long as you release the yellow dragon sealing great art, I am willing to work like a horse for you." Having a master-level Sea of Souls realm as your slave is something that many geniuses do not have. Tyrant Fist Master sounded very sincere, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. What was supposed to be in the bag had now become his slave. He could not accept it. "All right, I will release you right now." Stepping on the air, Yi Chun walked over step by step. No, Tyrant Fist Master could sense the killing intent coming from Yi Chun's body. Pushing out the Zhen Yuan that was not completely sealed, he tried to escape. Shoo! Yi Chun caught up with him, his gold sword piercing through his head. "I hate this." Before he died, Tyrant Fist Master's face was full of regret. Taking away his storage ring, Yi Chun threw out a punch, and the dead body of the Tyrant Fist Master was instantly destroyed, leaving nothing behind. Yellow Dragon sealing great art. So horrifying. Yi Chun stared at the dim yellow light ball in his hand, feeling a bit shocked. It was Zhang Jingguang who had taught him the yellow dragon sealing great art. Of course, it was the will of the Dragon King. As the secret art of the Dragon God Celestial Palace, it was not that hard to learn, since it did not have much of a secret. All he had to do was use his soul power and Zhen Yuan to activate the sealing power in the Dragon Ball. With a bit of guidance, he would be able to complete the seal. However, learning the yellow dragon sealing great art did not mean that he would be able to seal others. Without the Dragon Ball, it would be impossible, and the Dragon Ball was given to him by the Dragon King himself. According to Zhang Jingguang, there were not more than 10 people in the palace who had Dragon Balls. The fact that he was able to get one meant that the Dragon King trusted him, since not every one of the 5 palace leaders had one. As for the power of the Dragon Ball, it was not limitless. In fact, without replenishment, one ball could only perform the yellow dragon sealing great art once. For example, Zhang Jingguang had performed the yellow dragon sealing great art on Yao Yifeng, and that ball had been destroyed temporarily. As for how to replenish it, Yi Chun did not know. There were a few key points to perform the yellow dragon sealing great art. First, the opponent had to be within 100 meters. Second, the soul power had to be more powerful than the opponent, since the sealing power of the Dragon Ball depended on the soul power of the user. The more powerful the user's soul power, the more powerful the sealing power would be. Third, when performing the yellow dragon sealing great art, it could not be interrupted. Once it was interrupted, the user would be attacked by the sealing power, which would be very serious. Therefore, it could only be used for one-on-one. Chapter 560. Shoo! The flying puppet shot out of the storage ring as Yi Chun jumped onto it and sat with his legs crossed. He then pushed it to fly at a high speed, pushing its speed to its limit. This Tyrant Fist Master is a bit richer than Muron Wong. He has 400,000 top-rank spirit stones and 3 top-rank weapons. But he does not have any extreme-rank spirit stones. Inserting his soul power into the storage ring, Yi Chun smiled lightly. Adding the top-rank spirit stones he had on him, he had 800,000 in total. It was not a small amount, and if he were alone, he would be one of the top warriors among Master-level C of Soul's Realm warriors. There is only one region between the Gulan region and the Sky Marshal region. 5 days later, Yi Chun rode his flying puppet and arrived at the Sky Marshal region. 10 days later, Yi Chun saw the Phoenix Cry Mountain. The Phoenix Cry Mountain range was one of the top 3 mountain ranges in the Sky Marshal region, stretching for hundreds of thousands of miles. After flying for half a day, Yi Chun finally arrived at the core area of the mountain range. Once there, Yi Chun had no choice but to come down. In his sight, there were countless mountains that were tens of thousands of meters tall, reaching into the sky like pillars. Yi Chun estimated with his eyes that the shortest one was at least 9,000 meters tall, while the tallest one even reached above the sea of clouds, almost reaching the sky. On top of each of these mountains, there were massive palaces of different sizes, hidden deep within the winding clouds, vaguely visible. In Yi Chun's eyes, each mountain was like a beehive, with black dots flying in and out like busy bees. It is indeed the famous Phoenix Cry Mountain. Even a small mountain here is way more majestic than the Sky Cloud Marshal School's Windy Mountain. Yi Chun was a bit emotional. They were both martial institutions, but the difference was way too huge. Who is coming to my mysterious martial school? From the palace closest to Yi Chun, a red figure flew out. It was as fast as lightning, appearing not far away from Yi Chun within a second. This was a middle-aged man wearing a scarlet-red robe with a quaint appearance. From his speed, he was at least an expert of the true human rank. The mountain he was on was only in the middle to lower reaches of the mountain peaks, so it was obvious that he was only in the middle to upper levels. Yi Chun held his fists together and said, "I am Yi Chun from the South Ridra region. I would like to see the leader of the mysterious martial school, Xianhou." The martial school that Xianhou had created was called the Mysterious Martial School, which had more females than males. It was the place that all the female disciples wanted to go. Yi Chun from the Sky Cloud Martial School from the South Ridra region. The middle-aged man in red had heard of Yi Chun before. Of course, it was not because Yi Chun's fame had spread all the way to the Sky Martial region. In fact, in the Sky Martial region, Yi Chun did not have any fame at all. The only reason he knew about Yi Chun was because the leader had mentioned Yi Chun in a meeting a couple of years ago. Being mentioned by the leader, how could all the middle and high-level members of the mysterious martial school not pay attention to him? Indeed, it is me. I am the leader of the Fire Cloud Mountain, Zhang He. You wait in the palace and have a cup of tea. I will go inform the leader. The Fire Cloud Mountain was one of the 36 peaks of the mysterious martial school, and it was also the first line of defense. After knowing about Yi Chun's identity, Zhang Dihuo did not dare to be slow, so he suggested. Yi Chun nodded and followed him towards the Fire Cloud Palace on top of the mountain. After waiting in the palace for a while, Zhang Dihuo returned. Yi Chun, the leader wants to see you. The mysterious martial school had 48 important peaks in total. It was called the top 3 peaks, the middle 9 peaks, and the bottom 36 peaks. With Zhang Dihuo leading the way, Yi Chun did not face any obstacles along the way. Soon, he arrived at the main peak of the mysterious martial school. Looking over, the entire mysterious martial school was covered in a layer of crystal-colored mist. Yi Chun knew that it was the great protective spell of the mysterious martial school. It had an amazing defense, and even a life-and-death realm warrior would not be able to break in within a short period of time. Who? The crystal-colored mist in front of him separated, revealing a massive crystal door. Zhang Dihuo said, "I will not go in. If there is nothing important, the leader would not be allowed to enter the mysterious martial school." It was the rule of the mysterious martial school. Yi Chun held his fists at Zhang Dihuo before flashing his body and flying in. Passing through the crystal-colored mist, Yichen finally realized that the real mysterious martial school was a whole different world. Looking from the inside, it seemed to be much bigger than the outside, as if he had entered another world. Besides that, the spirit qi in this place was very rich, and even air was a bit moist. With a casual breath, one could feel the spirit qi entering one's body and slowly turning into Zhenyuan. What great place! Yi Chun praised as he looked at the beautiful female disciple who had just arrived. You are Yi Chun. This girl was the same as Yi Chun at peak level early Sea of Soul's realm. She was about 23 or 24 years old. Of course, once one reached the Sea of Soul's realm, one would not be able to tell their age from their appearance. For example, Yi Chun was almost 25 years old, but he looked like he was in his early 20s. Being in someone else's territory, Yi Chun knew that he had to be polite, so he smiled and said, Indeed, how should I address you, sister disciple? I am the leader's third disciple, Miao Yin. Come with me. The mysterious queen's residence was not on the mysterious peak. Instead, it was in the sky above the mysterious peak. It was a floating mountain, just like the floating mountain. Of course, although this floating mountain of the mysterious sect was not as big as the floating mountain, the materials used were obviously not of the same level. It looked like gold or jade and contained a horrifying power. It was not something to be underestimated. On top of the floating mountain, there was a pond and a few wooden houses that formed a small manor. Beside the pond, a lady in her 20s was feeding the fish. Her long hair was like a waterfall, reaching all the way to her feet. Her eyes were calm and peaceful. Miao-yin, you can leave for now. Yes, teacher. The beautiful female disciple called Miao-yin left with respect. Getting onto the floating mountain, Yi Chun saw Xianhou. Right then, Xianhou was different from the mental power image he had seen in the parallel space battlefield. The mental power image of Xianhou was so beautiful and unforgettable. Right now, Xianhou seemed a lot more reserved and natural. Senior Xianhou, sorry to disturb you. Xianhou smiled lightly. My real name is Xianhou Qingxian. You could just call me Senior Yan. Senior Yan, is there something you need my help with? The two were separated by a small pond as Xianhou spoke while feeding the fish. Yichen nodded. It is about Murong Qingcheng. What happened to her? Xianhou lifted up her head. She had paid quite a bit of attention to Murong Qingcheng since she was a good seed. Murong is fine. However, Murong's mother, Su Ruhui, has been poisoned by the Yuan family's shadowless poison. The only antidote she had was also destroyed by Yuan Jin. Therefore, I would like to ask the mysterious queen for help. Yichen told Xianhou his intention. Yuan family. Shadowless poison. Nonsense. Xianhou was a bit angry. She had tried her best to help the demi-demon family, hoping that the human race would treat them fairly. But there were some demi-demon families that did not want to be united and were destroying themselves instead. She had heard about the Yuan family's aggressive style, but she had never thought that they would dare to poison their own people. Not to mention, it was one of the most powerful poisons in the world. Senior, do you have any way to save her? Yichen was quite confident in Xianhou. Besides being powerful, she was also well-versed in many other things, especially in saving people's lives. There are less than 5 different kinds of poisons in the world, and I can save more than 5 different kinds. Unfortunately, the shadowless poison is one of the poisons that I cannot cure. Even Senior Yin cannot cure her. Yi Chen's heart sank. Although there was an antidote for the shadowless poison, finding the ingredients for it was extremely hard. Some of the ingredients were things that he had never even heard of before. Xianhou said, Don't worry. Although I cannot cure her completely, I can still extend her life for a couple of years. Hearing her, Yi Chun let out a breath. With a couple of years as a buffer, there would be a lot more hope. The shadowless poison is not easy to deal with. You and I will go check it out first. Xianhou waved her palm in the air, and a surreal door appeared on top of the pond. Shoo! Xianhou stepped into it, and Yi Chun followed without hesitation. Deep in the surreal space, the surreal door kept flashing. Each time it flashed, it would be extremely far away. After 15 minutes, The surreal door appeared in the branch of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Walking out of the door, Yi Chun was shocked. Although he knew that life and death realm warriors were powerful and unimaginable, the ancient Wind City was 7 million miles away from the Fengming Mountain. It took him dozens of days to get there, but it only took him 15 minutes to get back. This kind of power was beyond his imagination. Senior Xianhou. Seeing Xianhou and Yi Chun suddenly appear in the room, Murong Qingqing and Murong Jishui were shocked. Waving her hand, Xianhou looked at Su Ruhui, whose face was a bit pale. Luckily, we got here early. The poison qi has already started to corrode her body. Senior, please save my wife. Murong Jishui had been very worried for the past couple of days. At first, Su Ruhui was no different from a normal person. But after 10 days, the problem was getting worse and worse. No one knew where the poison came from, but it had started to corrode her body. Even her Jin Yuan could not stop it. You guys get out, Xianhou said. Uncle Murong, let's go out first. Yi Chun dragged the two out. The treatment did not take long. After 15 minutes, the door was opened. Murong Jishui and Murong Qingsheng went in to check. Seeing that Su Ruhui was perfectly fine, they thought that she was completely cured, so they thanked her profusely. Xianhou had a bitter smile on her face. Don't be too happy yet. The poison is still there. I just let her live for 3 more years. After 3 years, not only would my mysterious sealing art not be able to seal the shadowless poison, it would even become its accomplice, which would speed up her death. No one would be able to save her. Therefore, within 3 years, you guys have to gather all the ingredients for the antidote. Yi Chun said, Uncle Murong, you guys do not need to worry too much. 3 years is a long time, and it is more than enough for us to find the antidote. Plus, I already have a couple of ingredients for the antidote, so the rest should be fine. Flipping his left hand, Yi Chun took out a couple of spirit plants, which he got from the herb garden on the Treasure River Island. As for the antidote for the shadowless poison, everyone in the demi-demon family knew about it. Of course, it was impossible for Xianhou not to know about it. Xianhou was not surprised that Yi Chun had these spirit plants. Every genius had their own luck, and without a doubt, Yi Chun's luck would not be any worse than other geniuses. Yi Chun, from now on, you could travel around the Sky Martial region. Maybe you can find the ingredients for the antidote. Chapter 561. The Sky Martial region was the top region of the true Spirit Continent. Its area was only slightly smaller than the top 4 regions, but it was way bigger than any of the other regions. The Sky Martial region was a great place, and some of the rare spirit plants and medicines could be found in the outside world. It was said that the undead tree was in the Sky Martial region, but unfortunately, no one knew where it was, not even Su King or Xianhou. After all, there were still too many unknown places. Hearing Xianhou say that she wanted him to go to the Sky Martial region, Yi Chun nodded. The Sky Martial region was a sacred place for all the martial geniuses, so there was no reason for him not to go. With his power right now, he might be able to make a name for himself. The situation in the Sky Martial region is complicated. After you get there, come to the Phoenix Crime Mountain first. Xianhou could tell that Yi Chun did not want to go right now, so she waved her right hand and walked into the surreal door made of space power. Shoo! She disappeared without a trace. Waiting until Xianhou left, Murong Jishui sighed. The shadowless poison is a special poison created by my demi-demon family. I cannot believe that I would have to use it on my wife one day. Yi Chun comforted him. Uncle, if you trust me, I will take care of the antidote. 3 years is long enough. I'll leave it to you then. There were a lot of materials to make the antidote, so Murong Jishui could only hope that Yi Chun would be lucky all the time. Now that it is done, let's go back to the South River region. Yi Chun had already thought about going back to the Sky Martial region, so he was ready to say goodbye. Of course. Murong Jishui nodded. The leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Zhang Jingguang, had already left. Yi Chun and the group said goodbye to Wang Shi and Yin Kuei, then got on the red-eyed bird and started their journey back to the South River region. Yi Chun had to admit that the red-eyed vicious bird was indeed a bit slow. If the distance was only a few million miles, it would still be manageable. But if it was more than that, it would take way too long. Without a choice, Yi-chun took out the two flying puppets. The flying puppets seemed to be only twice as fast as the red-eyed vicious bird, but it would save them twice as much time. Without it, the flying puppets did not need to rest at all. How could they not be fast after flying day and night? Around 20 days later, the group returned to the Murong clan. When I reach the Sea of Souls realm, I will go to the Sky Martial region to find you. Murong Qingqing knew that the gap between her and Yi-chun was just too huge. Only by reaching the Seas of Souls realm would she be able to close the gap. Otherwise, she would only be a burden if she went. But her advantage was not that small either. Once she trained a part of the demon power essence, she would be able to reach peak level early Seas of Souls realm at least. Mid Seas of Souls realm might even be possible, since the demon power essence was the essence of the demon power inside the demon's body. Every bit of it contained a huge amount of demon power, which would benefit her greatly. There's no rush. It's best to consolidate your cultivation first. How could Yi-chun not know about Murong Qingqing's advantage? Once she reached the Sea of Souls realm, she would be at least at the Spirit Warrior level, which would be a huge advantage. But the Sky Martial region was not like any other place. It was the holy land of martial geniuses, gathering all the top martial geniuses of the whole continent. Yes, Murong Qingqing pursed her lips. Although her relationship with Yi-chun had not reached the point of intimacy, it was not far from it. They just needed to spend more time together. I will leave this flying puppet to you. I will need it in the future. Flipping his wrist, the leopard-shaped flying puppet appeared, floating in the air between the two. Yi-chun smiled as he looked at her, not hiding his emotions at all. A slight blush appeared on her face as Murong Qingqing's bright eyes contained a hint of affection. On the way back to the Windy Nation, Yi-chun took out the Dragon Ball. So, the Dragon Ball's power can be replenished automatically. I wonder when it will be fully replenished. It had been more than a month since he had performed the Yellow Dragon Sealing Great Art for the first time. During this time, the Dragon Ball had slowly recovered its color and was no longer dim. The Yellow Dragon Sealing Great Art is easy to learn, but it is extremely hard to master. Although it seemed easy to deal with the Tyrant Fist Master, it is actually because my soul power is powerful enough. Zhang Xinguang's soul power was way weaker than Yi-chun's, but he was still able to make Yao Yifeng unable to fight back at all. On the other hand, Yi-chun's soul power was 4 to 5 times that of Zhang Xinguang's. When he sealed the Tyrant Fist Master, he still managed to leave a bit of Zhen Yuan behind. This was the gap between them, and it was not just a small one. Shoo! The flying puppet disappeared into the horizon. The endless mountain range in front of him was getting bigger and bigger. Sitting on the flying puppet, Yi-chun could see the Fire Cloud Mountain, one of the 36 mountains under the mysterious martial school. This time, I'm afraid I will be staying in the Sky Martial region for a long time. Back in the South Ritter region, Yi-chun stayed at his family for a couple of days before saying goodbye to his parents again and leaving for the Phoenix Cry Mountain in the Sky Martial region. Last time, he had come in a hurry, so Yi-chun did not have the time to observe the mountain properly. This time, he realized that there was a light, desolate chi mixed in the mountain range, which meant that the mountain range had a very long history, dating back to the ancient era. Chirp! A bright bird chirp was heard. Yi-chun's expression changed slightly as he felt his blood flow increase. This bird, Yi-chun looked over and could see a huge blue bird flying in the sky on the side of the Fire Cloud Mountain. The huge bird's wings were 7 to 8 meters long, and there was a crown-like feather on its head. There were also 3 distinctive tricolored feathers behind its tail, which made it look like the king of the birds. The descendant of the phoenix. Blue phoenix. Yi-chun gasped. He did not expect to see a blue phoenix in the Phoenix Cry mountain range. It was not a normal beast. Judging on potential, it was even more powerful than Sun Xiaojin from the water ape race. It was a top-ranked beast, which was equal to the 9-headed snake. In other words, once it matured, it would be at least a top-ranked 10 beast, and it would have a huge chance of becoming a beast king. Plus, the higher the potential of the beast, the more powerful it would be. With the blue phoenix's potential, it would be able to beat any beast at the same rank, including Sun Xiaojin. It was a beast that was famous even in the ancient era. Shoo! The blue phoenix flapped its wings and jumped toward Yi Chun, its feather crown burning with blue flame. Yi Chun's expression changed. This blue phoenix was at rank 9, and he did not know why it was flying toward him. You are Yi Chun? When it was dozens of meters away, the blue phoenix suddenly stopped and spoke in human language. It was a female voice. Indeed, Yi Chun was a bit confused. It was not like he had not seen beasts that could speak human language before. The water ape race was one of them, but they were similar to humans, so it was not strange for them to speak. I am the head disciple of the leader, Yin Feng Feng. Nice to meet you. The blue phoenix said. So it's senior sister Yin. Yi Chun cupped his fists together. Hee, follow me. Master is waiting for you. With a wave of her tail, Yin Feng Feng turned around and flapped her wings, moving at an extreme speed. Such a fast speed, Yi Chun increased his speed to 90% before he could barely catch up with her. Seeing how relaxed she looked, he guessed that she had only used half of her speed. Yin Feng Feng wanted to test Yi Chun's speed. Her blue wings flapped slightly, and her speed increased again. It was so fast that it did not even look real. Sword light, flying spell. Yi Chun bit on his teeth as a sharp sword light shot out of his body. The sword light flashed once before carrying his body and shooting out, chasing after Yin Feng Feng. Not bad. You can barely catch up with me by half. Yin Feng Feng said shockingly. What? Yi Chun was shocked. Right then, he had even performed his sword light flying spell, which was more than 20 times the speed of sound. But it was only half of her speed. Yin Feng Feng chuckled. Don't be surprised. Among the young generation of the Sky Martial region, I might not be the most powerful. But, speaking of speed, if I say I am number 2, no one would dare to say they are number 1. You're only at peak level early Sea of Souls realm, but you already have master level speed. It is already very impressive. It seems like I have to perfect my sword light flying spell. Even though she had said it like that, Yi Chun could not help but feel emotional. Being twice as fast as him. What kind of concept was that? It would be like being born unbeatable. Below the life and death realm, no one would be able to catch up with Yin Feng Feng. As for the sword light flying spell, it seemed a bit outdated in his eyes. At astral reaching realm, the speed of the sword light flying spell was almost as fast as the attacking speed. But at the Sea of Souls realm, it was still far away from the attacking speed, since he was only at the astral reaching realm when he created it. Soon, Yi Chun and Yin Feng Feng arrived at the mysterious peak. You are here. Xuanho's voice was heard. At the same time, a guiding power covered him and Yin Feng Feng, bringing them directly to the floating mountain above the mysterious peak. Senior Yin, Master, Xuanho nodded and looked at Yi Chun. Although you are not my disciple, the old Dragon King and I have always treated you as one. Don't be too reserved. Thank you, Senior Yin. Feng Feng, it is Yi Chun's first time in the Sky Martial region, so he is not clear about some of the rules. You take him to the Sky Martial Pavilion and leave your name there. Yes. Yin Feng Feng nodded, the blue flame on her feather crown spinning around. Sky Martial Pavilion? Yi Chun was indeed not clear about the rules of the Sky Martial region, since the Battle King's life information was way too much. Therefore, he only had a part of the Battle King's memory. Also, this time, there are a couple of disciples from our mysterious martial school who are going to the Sky Martial Pavilion to leave their names there. I will leave them all to you. Xuanho thought very highly of Yin Feng Feng. Speaking of which, Yin Feng Feng could be counted as her half-daughter. When she first came to the Phoenix Cry Mountain, she did not set up her martial school here. It was not until she found a blue phoenix egg deep under the mountain that she used a secret technique to hatch it that she had Yin Feng Feng. Master, my shape-shifting pellets are almost used up. Yin Feng Feng looked at Xuanho with puppy eyes. Xuanho chuckled as she took out a jade bottle and threw it to her. Use it sparingly. These pellets are not easy to make. Thank you, Master. Yin Feng Feng waved her tail as she opened her mouth to catch the jade bottle. Opening the bottle, a round pellet fell into her mouth and she swallowed it. Whew! A blue light that was like the sun shone brightly. When the green light dissipated, the figure of the Qing Feng was nowhere to be seen. There was only a young woman dressed in green clothes. She had a lithe figure and exquisite facial features. Between her eyebrows was a threatening, noble temperament. In the center of her forehead was a feather crown pattern with a green flame burning on it. "Brother Yi, nice to meet you." Yin Feng, who had turned into her human form, revealed a smile. "Sister Yin, nice to meet you." Yi Chun chuckled. In his human form, it was indeed the first time the two had met each other. "All right, you guys can go now. We can leave tomorrow," Xianhou said. Chapter 562. The sun rose in the east. It was already the morning of the second day. On top of a steep mountain on the west side of the mysterious mountain, 3 disciples of the mysterious martial school stood there. Right next to them was an iron feather mysterious eagle. Among the 3 disciples, 2 of them were people Yi Chun had met before. They were the head disciple Yin Feng and the 3rd disciple Miao Yin. The last one was a male disciple with a face as white as jade. He looked to be only 22 or 23 years old, which was the youngest among the 3. As for his real age, it was hard to tell. "Head disciple, who is this Yi Chun? Our master is paying so much attention to him, asking you to take him to the Sky Martial Pavilion personally." The male disciple with the white face was called Ling Tianhao, the 4th disciple of the mysterious martial school. His real age was already 27 years old. Of course, to be able to train to peak level early Sea of Soul's realm at 27 years old was already a talent that could not be underestimated even in the Sky Martial region. If it were in the 4 regions, he would be at least one of the top warriors among the young generation. Even in the mysterious martial school, he would be one of the top martial geniuses. Yin Feng laughed. "Brother Ling, do not underestimate him. He is the new rising young king warrior of the southern region. His power is definitely not that big of a deal." Young king warrior of the southern region. This does not seem to be that big of a deal, right? It was not that Ling Tianhao looked down on Yi Chun, but in his eyes, the young king warriors of the southern region indeed did not have anything to be proud of, especially in the Sky Martial region. He reached the Sea of Soul's realm at 24 years old. However, what Yin Feng said next made Ling Tianhao's expression change drastically. Everyone knew that the leader of the mysterious martial school, who was also their master, Xianhou, had reached the Sea of Soul's realm at 25 years old. This record had been the first in 1,000 years, and no one had been able to break it for decades. Even the 2 top martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region, who were said to be as powerful as their master, had only reached the Sea of Soul's realm at 25 years old. They did not break their master's record. He could not imagine that there would be a martial genius in the southern region who was even more talented than their master. Impossible. Ling Tianhao's first reaction was to refuse. Yin Feng sucked in a deep breath. When Master told me this news, I didn't believe it either. But Master's words carry enormous weight. How could he lie? Hearing Yin Feng telling him that it was her master, Ling Tianhao was still in shock and disbelief. After a long while, he let out a breath slowly. Impressive training talent. Perhaps it is only the training talent. Not necessarily. Yin Feng looked at a black dot flying over. His speed has already reached master level. Whoosh. The black dot quickly enlarged. It was Yi Chun, dressed in blue with a long sword at his waist. Sorry for the wait. Cupping his fists, Yi Chun landed on the top of the mountain. "We have just arrived as well. Let me introduce you. This is my 3rd sister disciple, Miao Yin, and this is my 4th brother, Ling Tianhao." Yin Feng introduced. "I already know senior sister Miao Yin, but this is my first time meeting senior brother Ling Tianhao." The 3 of them were all older than him, so it was not shameful for him to call them senior sisters and senior brothers. "It is also my first time meeting Brother Yi. Please take care of me in the future." After knowing that Yi Chun's training talent was even more powerful than his master, Ling Tianhao did not look down on him anymore. Regardless, training talent was still a kind of talent, and it was the most direct way to reach a higher level. If the training talent was not good enough, then no matter how powerful the other talents were, it would be useless. "Let's go." Miao Yin looked very calm, looking more like the head disciple than Yin Feng. In the sky, the iron feather eagle carried the four and flew at an extremely fast speed, reaching 10 times the speed of sound, almost 15 times the speed of sound. The iron feather eagle was a rank 9 beast, and it was known for its speed. If it flew at full speed, it could reach 18 times the speed of sound, which was close to master-level warriors. But of course, traveling for a long time and traveling for a short time were obviously different. One cannot just focus on speed, which would only waste time. After all, the iron feather eagle was not a flying puppet. It was made of flesh and blood after all. Judging from the efficiency of traveling for a long time, the iron feather eagle was just like Yi Chen's flying puppet. One was fast, while the other did not need to rest. The Sky Marshal Pavilion is located in the south of the Sky Marshal region and is called the South Sky Gate. According to the rumors, the Sky Marshal Pavilion has some kind of connection with the Treasure Holy Tower as well. People above 40 would not be able to enter, and people who have not reached the Sea of Souls realm would not be able to enter either. In the middle of the Sky Marshal Pavilion, there is a magical name wall. You can leave 1,000 names on it, and each name can stay there for 10 years. On the back of the iron feather eagle, Yin Fengfeng was explaining the information about the Sky Marshal Pavilion to Yi Chen. Do I have to go there to leave my name? Yi Chen asked. Yin Fengfeng chuckled. Have you heard of this saying before? If you do not enter the South Sky Gate, it means that you have never been to the Sky Marshal region. The reason why the Sky Marshal region is called the sacred place for all the martial geniuses is because of the Sky Marshal Pavilion. Hearing her, Yi Chen smiled weirdly. So, only the young warriors who have reached the Sea of Souls realm would be considered to have been to the Sky Marshal region, and those who have not reached the Sea of Souls realm would be wasting their time. That Xie Zhiqiu was able to make a name for himself in the Sky Marshal region, so he was probably in the young generation. Yi Chen's guess was not wrong. Xie Zhiqiu had indeed only made a name for himself in the young generation of the Sky Marshal region. But when it was expanded to the entire young generation, it would not be worth mentioning at all. It must be really hard to leave one's name on the wall, right? Of course it is. Although the name wall is not really a ranking, it is still very useful as a reference. It includes all the top warriors within the last 10 years. Many of the famous martial geniuses from different regions would not even be able to make it into the top 1,000. Pausing for a second, Yin Fengfeng glanced at Miao Yin and Ling Tianhao and said, therefore, most of the martial geniuses would like to stabilize their power first. Only when they're unable to make it anymore would they go to the Sky Marshal Pavilion to leave their names there, so that it would not be too awkward for them to go there for the first time. Yi Chen thought about it and agreed with her. Reaching the Sea of Souls realm would be the weakest time for warriors of this level, so reaching the peak level of early Sea of Souls realm would be the most important thing. Once one reached the Sea of Souls realm, one's comprehensive ability would increase drastically, so it would be very important to increase one's mastery of profound sense martial arts as well. Right then, Ling Tianhao opened his mouth and said, the name wall is a place to judge one's potential. Being able to make it into the top 1,000 is already very hard, and it would be even harder to make it into the top 100. Once you make it in, the whole Sky Marshal region would know your name. As for the top 10, those would be the top martial geniuses. With Brother Ye's potential, it should not be a problem for you to make it into the top 100. Actually, Ling Tianhao still had some doubts about Yi Chen's potential. Being talented in training was indeed very important, but the other aspects were just as important. In the history of the true spirit continent, there had been some martial geniuses who were talented in training, but normal in other aspects. Yi Chen chuckled, but did not say anything. There was still a long way to go before they reached the Sky Marshal Pavilion. On the way, the four of them kept chatting. Yi Chen learned from Ling Tianhao that there were 2 disciples from the mysterious martial school who had made it into the top 1,000 on the wall. They were the head disciple, Yin Fengfeng, and the second disciple, Fu Yinhong. Yin Fengfeng's rank was ridiculously high. She was ranked 5th, while Fu Yinhong was a lot lower, ranked 57. Of course, it was a lot lower than Yin Fengfeng's, but in the whole true spirit continent, it was undoubtedly a very high rank. After all, If one's name could stay on the wall for 10 years, then the names of the martial geniuses for 9 years ago would all be shown on it. The Iron Feather Eagle was indeed a rank 9 beast that was known for its speed. After 7 days, the 4 of them had managed to travel from the west side of the Sky Marshal region to the south side of the Sky Marshal region. On the afternoon of the 7th day, a mountain peak that reached into the sky gradually appeared in front of the 4 of them. It was a mountain peak that looked like a sharp sword. The peak seemed to have been shaved off by a sword, making it very flat. On top of the peak stood a magnificent building. On the door, there were 3 huge words written in a domineering style: Sky Marshal Pavilion. We are here. There are quite a lot of people there and a couple of familiar faces. Yin Fengfeng's eyesight was extremely powerful. Even from dozens of miles away, she could still see the people there clearly. She could even tell the faces of the people there. Seeing the Sky Marshal Pavilion, Ling Tianhao's breathing was a bit heavier than usual. Obviously, he was not feeling calm at all. Miao Yin, who had been calm all the way, could not help it either. A bit of fighting spirit shone out from deep in her eyes. Only Yin Fengfeng and Yi Chun did not have much change in their expressions. The former had been to the Sky Marshal Pavilion once before, and this time she had brought 3 people to leave their names there, which had nothing to do with her. The latter was attracted by the aura of the Sky Marshal Pavilion. In Yi Chen's eyes, the mountain peak and the Sky Marshal Pavilion were like a godly sword that could pierce through the sky. That aura was like a sword chi, piercing through the sky, which was extremely horrifying. Shoo! The Iron Feather Eagle dove into the clouds, approaching the Sky Marshal Pavilion quickly. Iron Feather Eagle. They are from a mysterious martial school. It should be Yin Fengfeng from the Phoenix Martial School, who had brought her brother and sister disciples to leave their names there. At the foot of the mountain, someone had recognized the Iron Feather Eagle and Yin Fengfeng. They did not fly directly to the pavilion, but instead, Yin Fengfeng ordered the eagle to land on a flat ground at the foot of the mountain. Yin Fengfeng, how have you been? A bald teenager with a powerful aura walked over with his brother and sister disciples. Yin Fengfeng laughed. Hai Wuya, did you bring your brother and sister disciples here to leave their names? Indeed. The bald teenager named Hai Wuya glanced at Yi Chun and the other 2. Your mysterious martial school already had 2 people who left their names on the wall. I did not expect that there would be 3 more this time. Hee, brother and sister disciples have worked hard. Yin Fengfeng maintained the smile on her face the whole time. Then, I will go first. There are so many people here. Hai Wuya led the group and left. This is Hai Wuya? Ling Tianhao stared at Hai Wuya's back. Yin Fengfeng said, yeah, he is extremely powerful, no weaker than me. He is ranked 10th on the wall. Oh, right. Maybe you guys do not know much about the wall yet. It is a magical wall. Later on, you guys will only need to pour your soul power into it, and it will form an independent mental consciousness body in the mental world inside the wall. It will have 30% of your power, and your opponent will be a virtual mental consciousness body with the same power. Once you beat a virtual one, you will be able to enter the next level, where the virtual mental consciousness body experience will be doubled, and so on and so forth. Remember, do not try to show off. If the mental consciousness body is wounded, it will make you think that you are wounded subconsciously, which will affect your real body. The more wounded the mental consciousness body is, the more the real body will be affected. There have been cases of real bodies falling in the past. Chapter 563. Mental Consciousness Body. Yi Chen's eyebrows twitched. Most of the information that the Battle King had sent into his head was related to training, so Yi Chen knew what it was. To be more specific, the mental consciousness body was something that came out of mother body with a soul. It did not have a consciousness, and it was similar to a mental projection. However, in terms of complexity, it was much more powerful, and the power it could carry would be way more powerful as well. Of course, the Battle King had not trained a mental consciousness body yet. Therefore, Yi Chen did not know much about it, but he had a general idea. Let's go up. Yin Fengfeng led the way up the mountain. The path leading to the top of the Sky Marshal Pavilion was a 10,000 meters long and 100 meters wide staircase. After every 1,000 steps, there would be a spacious staircase. The second he stepped on the staircase, he finally realized why no one had flown up directly. The whole mountain was covered with a layer of invisible seal, and there was no way to use the air as a stepping stone. All he could do was walk up step by step. After a whole 15 minutes, the four finally got to the top from the foot of the mountain. So many people. Stepping through the gates of the Sky Marshal Pavilion, the four of them were greeted by a spacious and magnificent plaza. In the middle of the plaza, there was a 100-foot-tall screen wall. Surrounding the screen wall were hundreds of young men and women who were younger than 40 years old. The pavilion only opens once a year, so it is normal for there to be a lot of people. Yin Fengfeng had already gotten used to it. The wall was very tall, and the four could see all the names on it at first glance. Dugaju, number 1. Dantai Mingwei, number 2. Yin Fengfeng, number 5. Indeed, Yin Fengfeng was ranked number 5. Being able to be ranked number 5 out of 1,000 names, her potential was already shocking enough. Yin Fengfeng explained, rank number 1 and 2 are the top 2 martial geniuses of the Sky Martial region. They might not be the most powerful among the young generation, but they are definitely the most talented. Look at the color of the names. White means within the 3rd level, blue means to the 4th and 5th level, and red means to the 6th and 7th level. If one could make it through all 7 levels, then the color would be purple. So far, only Dugaju and Dantai Mingwei had made it through the 7th level, and their names would be purple. Hearing him, Yi-chan took a closer look at the wall. On the wall, there were 2 purple names, around 50 red names, and most of the blue ones. There were more than 800 blue ones, and the white ones had decreased drastically, only around 100, which was at the bottom of the list. If you want to leave your name on the wall, you would have to at least make it to the 3rd level. The longer you can last in the 3rd level, the higher the success rate would be. As she said that, Yin Fengfeng sighed. She was the descendant of the Phoenix, and her potential was unparalleled. Normally, it would not be hard for her to be ranked number 1 or 2. But the 4 people in front of her were just too freaky, especially Dugaju and Dantai Mingwei, who had made it through all 7 levels directly. Head disciple, is it that hard? Ling Tianhao asked. Yin Fengfeng let out a breath and said, the 1st level is a virtual consciousness body with similar power as you. The 2nd level is 2, the 3rd level is 4, and the 4th level is 8. With each level, the number will double, and the difficulty will also double. Do you think it's hard? Then, the 7th level would have 64? Ling Tianhao gasped, and even Miao Yin and Yichen looked serious. Yin Fengfeng said with a low voice, the wall tests battling techniques, mental power, and potential after being pushed to the extreme. Although cultivation and power have some effect, it would be suppressed to a very small extent. After all, the virtual consciousness body inside has the same power as you. If you're more powerful, it would be more powerful as well. I wonder what rank I would be able to get. Before coming here, Ling Tianhao was full of confidence. But now, he was only left with pressure and battle intent. Yichen understood what Yin Fengfeng meant. The wall tested one's potential, and it had nothing to do with cultivation or power. But of course, just like what Yin Fengfeng had said, although the latter 2 had been suppressed a lot, they still had some effect. For example, if one's power was higher, they would be able to sense more things, and their battling styles would be more unpredictable, which would increase their potential. Yichen, you are here as well. Right then, someone yelled out Yichen's name. Yichen turned around and saw the Thunder Princess Jing Aoshuan and the Edict Prince Li Xiaoyan. The 2 had both reached the Sea of Souls realm, just like him, at peak level early Sea of Souls realm. A smile appeared on his face as Yichen said, what a coincidence. Li Xiaoyan said, it is not a coincidence at all. Yichen chuckled. Li Xiaoyan was right. It was not a coincidence at all. The 2 reaching the Sea of Souls realm did not surprise him too much, since they had reached the peak level late astral reaching realm before him. They could make the breakthrough at any time. Plus, the Sky Martial Pavilion only opened once a year, so it would not be a coincidence at all to run into them here. Where's Chu Zhongtian? The relationship between Yichen and Chu Zhongtian was just normal. In the beginning, there was still some conflict between them, but it had gotten better after a while. Now, it was just a competition between two people at the same level. Jing Aoshuan shook her head. He has the evil spirit body, so it would be extremely hard for him to make the breakthrough. Right now, he is still at the peak level late astral reaching realm. That is true. Yichen nodded. The evil spirit body trained the evil Yuan, which was a couple of times more powerful than the Zhen Yuan. It would be extremely hard for him to make the breakthrough. But of course, once he made the breakthrough, his power would increase drastically as well. At the astral reaching realm, he would be extremely powerful, and once he reached the Sea of Souls realm, he would only be even more powerful. In other words, Chu Zhongtian was born with good luck, and he would only get more and more powerful. Perhaps once he reached the Sea of Souls realm, Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyan would not be able to compete with him anymore, unless they had some kind of great luck. This Wall of Fame is also a battlefield, a soundless battlefield. Li Xiaoyan suddenly sighed as he stared at the name on the wall in a daze. Yichen was not familiar with these people's names, but Li Xiaoyan was very familiar with them. He saw the names of the top warriors of the young generation in the southern regions. Some of them were the hosts of the previous tea gatherings, but their rankings were very low, below 500. Only one of them could make it into the top 100. The wall could test 10 people at a time, and there was no time limit. Of course, although it was said to be unlimited, it was actually very limited. If one spent too much time in the beginning, their spirit, chi, and soul would not be able to keep up, which would shorten the time. This time, I finally made it into the top 1,000. An ordinary-looking teenager saw his name at the end of the wall after finishing his test, and his face was full of excitement. Everyone's attention was drawn over. Yi Chan frowned. He saw two familiar people. They were the East Demon Xie Zhiqiu and One Blade Ling Luohan, who had caused a huge commotion in the tea gathering. These two had also entered the Sea of Souls realm. Leaving an empty spot, One Blade, Ling Luohan walked up and began his test. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Ling Luohan opened his eyes. At the same time, the last 100 names on the wall moved back one by one, and Ling Luohan's name appeared at the 99th place. I have to say that Ling Luohan's potential is very high. Jing Aoshuan had lost to Ling Luohan before. Although Li Xiaoyan did not lose to Ling Luohan, he had to admit that he was not Ling Luohan's opponent in the tea gathering. As for now, he did not have the confidence to win for sure, but he did not think that he would lose for sure either. He has gone down the wrong path of the blade art. Wanting to correct it in a short period of time would be very hard. In Yi Chen's eyes, Ling Luohan's potential would not be that much weaker than Xie Zhiqiu's, and could even be on the same level. Unfortunately, in order to pursue the efficiency of his blade art, he had gone down the wrong path of killing with one blade attack. It was indeed an evil path that could increase his power quickly, but it would also leave behind a lot of problems, which would slow down his progress in the future. The East Demon Xie Zhiqiu has started his test. A skinny teenager said, "The East Demon Xie Zhiqiu is quite famous among the young generation of the Sky Martial region. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, he already has the power to compete with most of the top young warriors. I wonder what his rank would be. It should be very high." Dugu Ju and Dantai Mingwei had reached the Sea of Souls realm last year. They were the top of the young generation back then. Although their power would not be able to reach the top of the young generation, their potential would be unbeatable. Potential and power were two different things. A high potential did not mean that one's current power was high, and a high power did not mean that one's potential was high. The former would still need some time to increase their power, while the latter would have enough time. But the potential was obviously not there, and the former would eventually catch up. Kill. In that quiet world, Xie Zhiqiu had passed 3 levels in a row and made it to the 4th level. There were 8 mental consciousness bodies in the 4th level, and each of them had the same power as him. The good thing was that the 8 of them did not have perfect teamwork. In fact, if they did, then there would be no way for him to fight. Even Dugu Ju and Dantai Mingwei would not be able to make it. In the 5th level, Xie Zhiqiu was wounded a little, and his real body outside of the wall let out a groan. In the 6th level, Xiajiqiu was killed within a second. So powerful! The real body opened its eyes, and Xiajiqiu could feel that he had just suffered an internal injury that he had subconsciously caused. Looking up at the ranking on the wall, a smile appeared on Xiajiqiu's face. Xiajiqiu, number 22. In the past, although he had some fame in the Sky Martial region, it was only among the younger generation. He had not risen to the top of the younger generation. Although his current strength could not compete with the other famous youths, in terms of aptitude, he was ranked 22nd in the past 10 years. This was a very high ranking, and he was very satisfied with it. Wow, he is actually ranked 22. Scary. Among all the people who participated this year, Xiajiqiu's potential could be ranked at least in the top 3. Some of the people around gasped. The higher the ranking, the more difficult it would be. At the same time, it also meant that he would be more powerful in battling above his realm. The East Demon Xiajiqiu was indeed worthy of the title. Interesting. Hai Wuya and Yin Fengfeng nodded secretly. Although Xiajiqiu's potential was not as good as theirs, it was only a reference. His future achievements might not be worse than theirs. Xiajiqiu turned his head to look at Yi Chun and the rest. When his eyes met Yi Chen's, a cold light shone out of his eyes, as if he wanted to battle. Chapter 564. On the martial tea gathering, Xiajiqiu had brought the top 3 young warriors from the eastern regions with him. He thought that he would be able to beat all of the top young warriors from the southern regions without having to do anything himself. He had guessed the beginning, but could not predict the end. In the beginning, the top 3 young warriors from the eastern regions were indeed unstoppable. First, they had beaten Li Xiaoyun, then Jing Aoshuan. When it came to Chu Zhongtian, although the situation was not as good as he thought, his defense was way too powerful, and there was nothing that could be done about it. Judging from a surface, even if Chu Zhongtian did not lose, he would still be at an absolute disadvantage. In the end, it was Yi Chen's turn. As soon as Yi Chen showed up, he had easily beaten Shadowless Whip Chui Yinghao and One-Blade Ling Luoan. Even someone as powerful as Xiajiqiu had lost to him without being able to fight back. The 4 had come with great power, but they had been forced back, leaving behind the legend of Yi Chen's invincibility. Xiajiqiu knew that without reaching the Sea of Souls realm, he would not be able to train his Demon Chi power spell to a higher level. Therefore, it would be hard for him to beat Yi Chen. Therefore, after returning to the eastern regions, he had been training hard, trying his best. Finally, he had reached the Sea of Souls realm half a year ago. In the following half a year, he had trained his Demon Chi power spell to the 5th level, which allowed him to increase his battling power by 5 times. Compared to the astral reaching realm, his power was like heaven and earth. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, Xiajiqiu's confidence had increased drastically. He had been thinking about beating Yi Chen and restoring his glory. But the Sky Martial Pavilion only opened once a year. If he missed this chance, he would have to wait for another year. Therefore, he planned to go to the pavilion to test his potential first before finding Yi Chen for revenge. What he did not expect was that Yi Chen had also come to the Sky Martial Pavilion. There was no need for him to find him at all. This time, I will beat you like a dead dog. Thinking about how he had lost, Xiajiqiu tightened his fists, his face not looking very friendly. This guy is unrepentant and still wants to cause trouble for Yi Chen. Li Xiaoyun and Jing Aoshuan sneered. They did not know how powerful Yi Chen was right now, but they knew that he was already so powerful at the astral reaching realm. Wouldn't he be even more powerful after reaching the Sea of Souls realm? The test was fast. Ling Tianhao and Miao Yin also went up to take the test. After a while, the names of the 2 people appeared on the wall. They were respectively 285th and 276th. This was a pretty good ranking. There were so many geniuses on the continent, and it was not easy to be ranked within the top 300 in terms of aptitude. Yi Chen, let's go take the test too. There were fewer and fewer people. Li Xiaoyan walked into the testing circle first, followed by Jing Aoshuan. Yi Chen nodded and walked into one of the 10 testing circles. Yin Fengfeng. He does not seem to be from the mysterious school, right? Hai Wuya told Yin Fengfeng. Yin Fengfeng said, he is a martial genius from the South Ridra region. South Ridra region? Hai Wuya frowned. A small martial genius from the South Ridra region was being led by Yin Fengfeng herself? What a great honor! Yin Fengfeng laughed. Hai Wuya, do not underestimate him. In the battle between the martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region, he will definitely be one of the main characters. Hee hee. Hai Wuya chuckled, but did not say anything. He thought that Yin Fengfeng was just trying to trick him. The Sky Martial region was not some region or some region. It was the center of the whole continent. All of the top martial geniuses were gathered there, and it would not be easy to make a name for oneself, not to mention being one of the main characters. Yin Fengfeng did not try to explain, because she knew that it would be useless. If she wanted to convince people, she would have to show some results. Anything else would just be empty talk. It was a dead silent world, without any signs of life. On the barren land, a blurry human figure was forming, and it was getting clearer and clearer. Facial features and clothes could be seen clearly. It was indeed Yi Chun in blue robes. Right then, he looked cold and numb, as if he did not have any consciousness at all. All of a sudden, Yi Chun's numb eyes flickered, and there was a light in them. Mental consciousness bodies do not have consciousness and must be controlled by the main body. Yi Chun had an understanding. Mental consciousness bodies also had different levels. Obviously, this was the lowest level mental consciousness body. The higher level mental consciousness bodies could grow from not having consciousness to having consciousness, which was equivalent to a real clone and did not need to be controlled by the main body. 100 meters in front of Yi Chun, a human figure appeared. It was a sword artist in yellow robes. His cultivation and were the same as Yi Chun's, but his face was blurry. HM, he has a sword, but I don't. With that thought in mind, a sword appeared in Yi Chun's hand. One more. A sword appeared on Yi Chun's waist as well. Shoo! The sword artist in yellow robes charged over, throwing out a killing attack right from the start. It was a completely different attack from Yi Chun's. The sword light was sharp like a circular arc, sweeping across the sky. With a shake of his body, Yi Chun turned into a sword light, brushing past his opponent's sword light. The long sword in his hand was taken out of its scabbard, and with a flash, it was instantly extinguished. Puff! A head with an indistinguishable face flew up, and the sword artist in yellow robes slid on the ground, gradually dissipating into nothingness. One sword strike, a head flew off. The first level is not difficult. Although the virtual mental consciousness body's cultivation and will are the same as mine, its combat techniques are too standard. There is nothing special about it, and it is like a preset program. Yi Chun silently evaluated the virtual mental consciousness body's combat strength. Who? About 3 breaths later, 2 more sword artists in yellow robes appeared. These two's faces were blurry, but their sharp gazes were like beams of light, locking onto Yi Chun. After locking onto him, it was time for a fierce attack, an attack that would not stop until one of them died. Kill! Yi Chun did not retreat or evade, but rushed toward the two. Puff! Puff! The 3 of them passed each other. The next moment, 2 heads flew into the sky, but there was no blood. The pressure is getting greater and greater. In a separate mental world, Li Xiaoyan rushed into the crowd, surrounded by a total of 16 people. These 16 people's cultivation and were similar to his, and the power of their killing moves was not weaker than his. Even if their combat techniques were too simple and there was no spiritual qi, they had 16 times more people than him. 16 people besieging him. The pressure was unimaginable. Bang! The iron fan closed, and Li Xiaoyan smashed the heads of 3 people in a row. However, he was punched in the back, and his body staggered out, passing through the gap between the 2 people in front of him. 7-star crossing. Suddenly turning around, Li Xiaoyan performed his trump card. Royal Extreme Tyrannical Fist. Royal Extreme World Shocking Fist. Jing Aoshuan did not blindly attack like before, and if she did not advance, she would retreat. Her body moved like lightning, wreaking havoc. With every punch, one person would be sent flying, and the strong power of thunder and lightning was like a chain of lightning in the starry sky, one after another. Huh. With a groan, Jing Aoshuan had suffered a serious internal injury. She was besieged by 16 people whose cultivation and were not weaker than hers after all. Defeating them was not something impossible, but she would have to pay a heavy price as well. After the time of tea, who is Li Xiaoyan? He is ranked 108. And Jing Aoshuan, 95. The names on the wall flickered, and two more blue names appeared. They were indeed Li Xiaoyan and Jing Aoshuan. Not bad. That Jing Aoshuan is actually ranked above you. Xie Zhiqiu smiled lightly and said to Ling Luohan beside him. Ling Luohan said, "Their talents are indeed not weaker than mine." Although Ling Luohan was ranked above Li Xiaoyan and Jing Aoshuan, his talent was not necessarily above the two. After all, the relationship between talent and power was not completely proportional. It was much more complicated and hard to understand. It could only be said that there was a huge relationship. The real bodies opened their eyes. Li Xiaoyan and Jing Aoshuan smiled bitterly. They had both failed in the 5th challenge. I killed 13. How many did you kill? Li Xiaoyan asked. Jing Aoshuan said 15. That's too bad. There were 16 people in the 5th challenge. After killing 15, there was only one left. Yichen has not come out yet. Li Xiaoyan looked at Yi Chun, who was in the other testing circle. Inside the mental world of the wall, the sword light crisscrossed like a spider web, covering hundreds of meters of space. Some of these sword lights were from the illusory mental images, and some were from Yi Chun. The sharp sword intent seemed to want to pierce through the mental world, shooting straight up into the sky. This was a world of cold sword chi. Kill. Yi Chun had pushed his battle skills to a new level. Sometimes he would have one sword in his hand, and sometimes he would have two swords. In the blink of an eye, no one knew how many swords he had thrown out. They only knew that as his body flashed, the illusory mental images would fall down one after another. The remaining illusory mental images were surprisingly more than 20 of them, densely packed together. This was the 6th challenge. Yi Chun had rushed to the 6th challenge in one breath. His opponents were 32 illusory mental images. Facing 32 illusory mental images, although it was not easy for Yi Chun, he was not injured at all. Being able to stay uninjured in the early stage of the 6th challenge meant that he was at least in the top 15. It should be known that Xie Zhiqiu had only beaten back one person in the 6th challenge before being killed instantly without any chance to fight back. Yi Chun twisted his body in the air, dodging a wave of sword light. He suddenly stepped back, dodging another wave of sword light. His body turned into a shadow, moving close to the ground. Dodging another wave of sword light, Yi Chun had integrated dodging skills into his battle skills. While dodging, he was also attacking. While attacking, he was also dodging. It was hard to tell whether he was dodging or attacking. He only knew that it was impossible to lock his body. Swoosh! 3 heads flew in a straight line. Yi Chun stopped his body and turned around. All the illusory mental images had disappeared. The 7th challenge, I wonder how difficult it is. In the outside world. What? The test is not over yet? Could it be that he has reached the 6th challenge? Many people began to pay attention to Yi Chun. They could clearly see that Yi Chun had taken the test together with Li Xiaoyan and Jing Aoshuan. According to the normal passing speed, he should have reached the 6th challenge by now. Of course, they did not expect that Yi Chun's passing speed was even faster than they had expected. He had already reached the 7th challenge. Amazing. As long as he could hold on for a while in the 6th challenge, he would be able to enter the top 15. If he could pass the 6th challenge, he would have a chance to enter the top 10. You should know that the higher you go, the more difficult it is, and the fewer people there are. It is impossible to pass the 6th challenge. On the wall of names, only 9 people have passed the 6th challenge and entered the 7th challenge. The 6th challenge was light red in color, and the 7th challenge was dark red. On the wall of names, besides Dugaju and Dantai Mingyue, only 9 people had dark red names. One could imagine how difficult it was to reach the 7th challenge. Chapter 565. Interesting. Hai Wuya chuckled, starting to pay more attention to Yichun. A genius who could reach the 6th level definitely couldn't be ignored. Indeed, there was a big gap between the 6th and 7th level, and he and Yin Fengfeng were both geniuses who had reached the 7th level. However, a genius who had reached the 6th level might not be much inferior to them in the future. After all, if the difference in talent wasn't too big, it was still possible to catch up. Talent was only a general reference and couldn't be taken too seriously. How is it? Yin Fengfeng glanced at Hai Wuya and said. Hai Wuya said, his talent is indeed very high, not too far from us. He might even catch up, but if he wants to become one of the main characters of the battle, he's still a bit lacking. You should know how abnormal those guys are. You and I can barely contend against them. Don't jump to conclusions yet. Let's keep watching. Yin Fengfeng also wanted to see how far Yichun could go, and whether he could reach the 7th level. The 7th level began. Yichun's sharp eyes stared ahead. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The sound of spatial fluctuations rang out incessantly. As the sounds rang out, numerous figures appeared. They were so densely packed together that it was extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, 64 yellow-robed sword artists appeared 100 meters in front of Yichun. Although the yellow-robed sword artists were lifeless and lifeless, the sword chi coiling around their bodies was extremely powerful. The sword chi of 64 yellow-robed sword artists converged together, causing numerous fine sword scars to appear on the barren land, and a formless shockwave spread out. Chop! If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely dodge at top speed and look for an opportunity to break them down one by one. Even if the chance wasn't big, it would still be better than facing 64 sword artists all at once. If 64 sword artists with cultivation base and willpower that were not inferior to one's own launched a round of attacks, no one would be able to block it, and they would certainly be annihilated. However, Yichun did the opposite. He withdrew his protective Zhenyuan and used his sword-light flying art. His speed soared to the limit as he crazily charged toward the crowd of sword artists. Swish, swish, swish. The dozens of sword artists at the very front raised their hands, and their long swords sprinkled out crescent-shaped sharp sword chi. They interweaved together and shot toward Yichun like a huge net. Pop! On the way, Yichun suddenly accelerated. This was his true maximum speed. Dozens of beams of sword chi sliced behind him, bringing up waves of space ripples. At the same time, he himself passed through the gaps of the sword chi, his long sword out of its scabbard in a second. His unbreakable gold resonant radiant sword art had been unleashed right from the start, creating a golden sword light in the middle of the crowd. 3 heads flew up. Yichun suddenly restrained his breath and turned into a black shadow. He slid along the ground and shuttled through the crowd. At the moment when he moved close to the ground, at least 7 or 8 black shadows crossed each other. That sharp sword light directly left black marks in the air. If Yichun's speed was a little bit slower, or his reaction was a little bit slower, or if he hesitated even a little bit more, or if he continued to kill, he would definitely be dismembered by those 7 or 8 sword lights. What seemed like a flash of lightning actually contained too many things. At this moment, every second counted, and there was no room for mistakes. Voila! The remaining 61 yellow-robed sword artists spread out, exposing Yichun in the middle. Yichun sneered and stuck to the back of a yellow-robed sword artist like a shadow. Pooh! That sword artist fell down, but he did not die in the hands of Yichun. Instead, he died in the hands of other yellow-robed sword artists. The intense shock wave blew away Yichun, but it also blew him to the back of another yellow-robed sword artist. One after another, the yellow-robed sword artists fell down. If they had their own consciousness, they would definitely have died a miserable death. Void-shattering finger. The yellow-robed sword artists all spread out, and Yichun, who could no longer find anything to hide, pointed his finger at the 2 yellow-robed sword artists closest to him. That huge blue finger ignored the distance between them and pressed them down on the ground, rubbing the ground as it rushed forward, knocking away 3 or 4 yellow-robed sword artists who were about to launch a new round of attacks. Boom! The shock waves spread out wantonly, accompanied by sharp sword chi flying everywhere. The whole area was constantly being cut by sword chi. Still not out? He must have reached the 7th level. As time passed, the contestants finished their tests one after another. More and more gazes fell on Yi Chun, and he immediately became the focal point. The 7th level has 64 mental consciousness bodies with the same cultivation base and will. Apart from Dugaju and Dantai Mingwe, there are only 9 people who can reach this level. From today onwards, it will be 10. Where did he come from? With such a high aptitude, it's impossible not to have heard of him before. He was brought by Yin Fengfeng, Phoenix sect Yin Fengfeng. No wonder. Everyone discussed among themselves, glancing at Yi Chun, then at Yin Fengfeng. Yin Fengfeng's reputation in the Sky Martial region was extremely great. In terms of identity, she was the head disciple of one of the 9 great sections. In terms of strength, she was already a Sea of Soul Master, known as the Phoenix Master. In terms of speed, she was the number 1 in Sea of Soul Realm. Yin Fengfeng's reputation in the Sky Martial region was not inferior to those famous young tycoons. How could the people she brought be weak? Hai Wuya's expression changed for the first time. He really didn't expect Yi Chun to be able to reach the 7th level. It seemed like he was still fighting in the 7th level without any signs of failure. Am I starting to believe what you're saying? Sucking in a deep breath, Hai Wuya retracted his gaze from Yi Chun and smiled bitterly, then said slowly, even if he is not one of the main characters of the battle, he will still be an important supporting character. There would only be a few main characters. The important supporting characters couldn't be ignored either. Sometimes, their role might not be any less than that of the main character. A scene was born between the main character and the important supporting characters. He actually made it to the 7th level. Xie clenched his fists, not daring to believe his own eyes. He thought that he and Yi Chun were only a few millimeters apart, and that he could surpass him at any time. But reality had slapped him in the face, leaving him speechless. Ling Luohan didn't say anything. Yi Chen's astonishing performance was within his expectations. He didn't like Xie Zhiqiu, but he admired Yi Chun. On the other side, Li Xiaoyun and Jing Aoshuan sighed inwardly. In the southern regions, perhaps only Chu Zhongtian with his evil spirit body could be compared to Yi Chun. Of course, the premise was that Chu Zhongtian could catch up quickly and not be left too far behind. Otherwise, no matter how powerful his evil spirit body was, it would still be useless. Time passed bit by bit, and only the last batch of contestants remained. The 7th level is indeed dangerous. Every step is filled with killing intent. Yi Chun had never pushed himself to this point. Facing the encirclement of so many yellow-robed sword artists, his spirit, chi, and soul were maintained at their peak, not daring to relax in the slightest. He was clear that even the slightest bit of carelessness would result in his death. Shoo! 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 Sword light crisscrossed, interweaving into a web. Yi Chun was like a flying insect shuttling in the web, struggling with all his might, seeking a chance to survive. Meanwhile, those yellow-robed sword artists were like spiders in the web, forming groups of 3 to 5, constantly spitting silk at Yi Chun. At this moment, the 7th level had taken more time than the previous 6 levels combined, and there were still more than half of the yellow-robed sword artists left. Dual sword style. Crossing the 2 swords, Yi Chun sent a yellow-robed sword artist flying. However, he couldn't kill him because there were several yellow-robed sword artist pincer attacking him. Shoo! Without any hesitation, Yi Chun flew back into the air. His Zhen Yuan reversed, and his body became like a mountain. Under the pull of gravity, he descended at an extreme speed. Boom! 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 Like fireworks, dozens of sword chi clashed together in the sky. This is really pushing me to the limit. Yi Chen's spirit was stretched taut. He had already displayed extraordinary strength, but the danger was getting more and more intense. If killing people in the 6th level was easy, then killing people in the 7th level would require 2 or even 3 or 4 times the effort. Here, Killing or being killed was only a matter of a thought. Punk. Stepping on the shoulder of a yellow-robed sword artist, Yi Qin's body twisted, bringing the yellow-robed sword artist's body along as he spun like a tornado. Then, with the hook of his left leg, the latter's body involuntarily flew out and was sliced into 4 pieces by 3 sword chi. The time taken was too much, but caused a huge uproar outside. How long is this going to last? Could it be that he's preparing to pass? Last year, Duguju and Dantai Mingyue spent half a day. It's easy to imagine how frightening the 7th level's difficulty is. It's already been half a day. While everyone was dumbfounded, Hai Wuya and Yin Fengfeng's expressions turned serious as well. They were the ones who had passed through the 7th level, so they knew very well what kind of situation it was. Although the number of mental consciousness bodies had doubled after each level, it was still within the acceptable range after all. However, at the 7th level, the number of people had suddenly increased from 32 to 64. This kind of difficulty was no longer just doubling. It was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Every additional person would be a kind of torture, and the addition of 32 people would be simply hopeless. Yin Fengfeng was ranked 5th, but she had only killed 6 people. Hai Wuya, on the other hand, had killed 4. Apart from Duguju and Dantai Mingyue, they didn't think anyone could kill more than 10 people in the 7th level. But now, Yi Qin's appearance might break this rule. I didn't think he could make it this far either. Yin Fengfeng let out a deep breath. Where her master told her that Yi Qin would have a shocking achievement, she was skeptical. After all, in the Sky Martial region, she had seen way too many martial geniuses, and Yi Qin was not one of them. Hai Wuya said, "The appearance of Duguju and Dantai Mingyue is already shocking enough, comparable to your master Xinhou. If another one appears, this era will definitely rise to another level and become a rare era." Deep down in his heart, he did not think that Yi Qin would be able to make it through, because he did not believe that there would be 3 martial geniuses in this world at the same time. Although these 3 martial geniuses had not grown up yet and could not compete with the top young warriors, with their great potential, they would only need time to build up their achievements.